I know you. You came to hang out with me. And I say thank you very much for that. My friends, this is episode 17. We are going strong. It's going to be a good one. Today, I'm going to be having a gentleman on who, and I'm going to post it here like I did yesterday. I really like doing that. This gentleman is trying to change the world. I mean, you can't put it any other way. He is doing everything he can to make the world a better place, and it's based on, unfortunately, something negative that happened, and I believe it was his brother who committed suicide, and in turn he had a life change. And I really want to get into a lot of that today. Hopefully he'll be here in a moment. When he does show up, I'll add him in, and we'll get the show going. I'm excited about today's episode 17. We've done this 17 days in a row with a new guest every day. This is turning into something very, very cool. I did a 3-hour podcast last night till 1 in the morning. I've had less than 5 hours sleep, and I'm ready to go. So here in a moment, I believe we'll be getting him on. He should be on any second. Just spoke to him on the phone. So I'm going to go check, and I'll be right back. He may have joined here, and we're going to do this here now, I hope. So let's see. Because I'm seeing that there's 2 people here. Whoever's here, if you wouldn't mind, say something in the messages in the comments down below. And then that way I'll know who and where people are and what's going on. And trying to show Ricardo here. I don't know if he's live with us yet. I'm going to go check one more time, let him know we're here, we're live, we're ready to go. This is what I did to myself doing these live feeds. I put myself into this position. There he is. So Ricardo, I'm not sure why, but it's not allowing you with whatever platform you're using. Are you on your phone or on your computer? Because if you're on your phone, it should allow you to jump on. If you're on your computer, it will not allow you to jump on. It seems to... I've had this problem like 2 or 3 times now, every time somebody tries to join in. But if you do it with... if you wouldn't mind, could you jump back onto your phone, and we'll do it that way, because it seems like that's the only way we can do a live feed together. For some reason, it doesn't allow you to do it from your computer, and that makes no sense to me. Google, Facebook definitely needs to fix that. But let's see if we can get you back over, because I know when we spoke a moment ago, I thought we were on your phone, so I'm not sure. Oh, there he is. I see him. Here he is. Got him. Adding him to the podcast. We are getting Jack Zulueta. I hope I said that correctly. Zulueta. And we're going to find out about his story here. Now, there he is. Is Ricardo coming in? 3, 2, 1. Ding, ding, ding. We're going to find out about his story here. Now, there he is. Yes, he's here. Thank
Sorry
you so
about
much. Ding, ding. Now, there he is. Yes, he's here.
Let me
Sorry about that.
turn off the computer here, because now I got 2 things going on at once.
No worries.
Hold on real quick. Sorry about that, guys.
No, please, no worries, none whatsoever. It's going to be great either way. I'm super excited to have you, and I'm thankful that you came on today. So I was introduced to you by my friend Tomilius, is his last name.
Yes. Christian.
Yeah, Christian Tomilius, he does a lot of like marketing, and he's been into the metaverse and all of that. So what's your connection to Christian?
So I'm actually involved with them with the Metaverse project. But I figured since that's not ready yet, I'd go discuss the mental health aspect of what I do.
Well, but if you don't mind, just because I'm super
Yeah,
interested, what is the project that you are working on? That
yeah.
is the metaverse project. Is that was that the clothing one?
No, no, no. So I have a bunch of different kind of, I guess, projects going on simultaneously. But the Metacom space is the metaverse that we're working on. So when I was getting into Web3, one of the most important things that I learned is the importance of like building your communities.
Mhm.
Um, social media platforms like this, they help build an audience, but live streaming really helps build more trust, right? By sharing our tone of voice, facial expressions, body language, and even our like surroundings in like real time. It just builds more trust that we talk like this. The problem is that, a lot of existing platforms, they're designed for one-way communication, where only one speaker can really talk at a time to broadcast to an audience. People think you have a community, but you just have an audience because you're just talking one to many and they cannot talk among themselves. So it's really impossible for everyone to have like meaningful connections and interactions simultaneously, having conversations like we naturally do in the real world, right? They also, a lot of these platforms, they also don't prioritize focus on building and managing communities. So there are some platforms that have quality graphics and features, but require like expensive equipment. You have to get the 3D glasses, and it limits the number of users that you can have. There's only like 50 or whatever. Well, what if you have a music concert? So, but when you can do that, they sacrifice the user experience. It's not that good. So a lot of them are centralized. So servers are very costly. So that really restricts the simultaneous users. It makes it too expensive to do events on, and it's just a little impractical. That can really replace like existing, tools or real world experiences. So Metacom space, what we do is help people share more meaningful connections and experiences. We make it easy and affordable for anyone to really host different types of events in a variety of like interactive, customizable spaces in the metaverse, and monetize them through sponsorship or ticket sales. So really, our metaverse uses text, video, and spatial audio for a more immersive kind of experience, and we allow like real-time conversations like in the real world. So it's more cost effective, and it just allows more users to access it through mobile phones, computers, and VR goggles. So what that does is it gives you more distribution to like an audience, because, for example, you're talking here right now. Imagine all your audiences being out listening to you among them, but they can also talk among themselves. Just like in the real world, when you look at a stage, you can talk to your buddy like, yo, this dude sucks. Like, you want to go? And then you start networking with other people, especially conferences, music concerts, things like that. So that's really what we do with Metacom Space. And, there's going to be different types of spaces. There's going to be a private space, like offices. Imagine you having an office where people can come in and you accept walk-ins rather than Calendly or whatever. It becomes, what I try to always do is bring real world experiences into the metaverse, because I think we're not ready for a full-on metaverse yet, where you're looking at a dragon as an avatar. I'm like, I wouldn't trust you as a dragon. I need to see you. Like right now we're seeing each other's faces, facial expressions. This is what really works. So to me, the most important thing is meaningful connections. People think like, I would never go into metaverse because I like real world experiences. Then what the hell are you doing watching this right now then? This isn't the real world. Who are you with, buddy? Who are you hugging? Like, but we're connecting, and that's what's really important. Oh, you're on mute there.
I was saying, yeah, it's just another perspective of the same thing, and also it's this idea called the 6 degrees, where you can't ask society to move more than 6 degrees in any one direction, because it snaps back like a rubber band. And we can remember when Google Glasses came out, and they had everybody was freaking out. Oh, I can't have one of those. That's too scary for me. this whole having
Yeah.
a world. And now, there's ads on Facebook for a new company, excuse me, that is AR glasses.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for those who have not seen it, there's a great YouTube video that's called Hyper Reality that was made by a Japanese artist some 7 years ago, and it shows what a very dystopian version of it, but what the AR future will look like to us, how we'll play video games, literally
Yeah.
with our hands right here, on a
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
Or how the streets will tell us which way to walk, or when traffic is coming and when not to walk across the street. All of
Right.
these ideas, or even just as Google has right now, where you can walk down the street and it will, translate something for you just by holding up your phone.
Yeah. And one of the things
Has,
I see that's a very different from AR to VR is that in AR, you can't really, because in a VR world, you're being transferred into a world and you basically erase everything in the real world, right? The one convenience with that is the ability to have like bigger events. You can't bring a convention center or a concert into your home in AR version where you're looking around. Well, how are you going to network? You're going to walk around your house, hit the walls? Like, it's limited to where you can go. In a
right.
virtual world, you can walk around the entire music concert, this whole space, whatever. I think that's the biggest advantage that VR has, because for networking, because when you're just in AR, you have to stay put in one place or a small room. If you can have a AR and VR connection in a small room with the same perimeters, then that makes sense. But when you have a huge concert and a huge conference and different stages all over the place, the only way to be able to do that is through VR. And so that's why we focus so much on like meaningful connections, and people are always really don't realize what I'm trying to do. Like, people think I'm competing with the metaverse. Really, I'm competing with more of the current things that we do now. To me, it's all about solving problems. The biggest problem I'm trying to solve is being able to talk to different people simultaneously, real communities. When you can have your communities talk among each other instead of just you talking. Like when people do like virtual events, you're just really sitting there watching videos, one after the next, and you have zero control. You can't talk to anyone else. You can't do anything. You're basically stuck to what they show you. And even though you want to hear number 5 speaker, you have to go through the entire 1, 2, 3, 4 speakers and then 5, and then go, do I want to stay? And then you want to talk to the speaker. Well, guess what? It's over. The guy is gone. Unlike the real world, you can go like, hey, William, I really liked what you said on stage. Can we talk a little bit? Well, that's a different story now, because now you're actually interacting with the people, the speakers, and things like that. But when you just have someone, when you do Twitter Spaces or any kind of virtual events like this, usually when the host is like, well, thank you for coming, click. Where's everyone?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Everyone has time to network, but you just turned off. Basically, it's like going into a convention center, and then after the thing, it's just like everyone shut off, everyone get out, and gone.
Yeah.
And that's not how it really works. So.
Yeah, that's there's apps that are out there. Even like Facebook has their world where you can, and it's awkward because, and I've tried it, even spatial, and it's the same thing in spatial. It's awkward. It's only like kind of when you're around the person, and then you're just like walking by somebody and you hear a conversation. You're like, well, so I totally get what you're saying, and when I'm at an event and I'm watching something on the screen, when I try to talk to my friend, I can't. I have to text to them, and it's I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it doesn't feel real.
So what you mentioned, though, that is sort of an advantage as well, having spatial audio or positional sounds. So in the real world, you should only hear people that you're nearby. One of the things that most platforms do is volume is up the same level for everyone. And it's just like, what happens? There's 2 things that happen. Number 1, too many people are talking, because when you have 2 conversations simultaneously, too many. Now imagine 1,000 people. So what do you think 1,000 people are going to do? Just sit there and go. And so they get awkward, right? So 1, they speak too much. The number 2 that can go wrong is too many people are now talking. Because, or actually, I'm sorry, not enough people are talking, because they're going like, well, I don't want to interrupt. They have a conversation going right now. Like, but I really want to talk to this person, not even anyone that's speaking right now. I want to talk to this person. But if I talk to this person, we're both talking and now no one's having a meaningful conversation. So that really lacks in whole networking thing. And there's other virtual platforms now in 2D that you go through, but when you go through that, the networking really sucks because it's not when in the real world, the way we get into conversations is through spatial audio style, right? You kind of walk up, listen to the conversations and go, "Ah, yeah, actually, you're right." Out of nowhere, you just kind of chime in. You don't just go like, "Hey, what's going on?" You know, you don't introduce yourself to every single person. "Hi, my name's Ricardo. Hi, my name's Jack. Hey, you know, like you don't do that. You just kind of sit there and listen to the conversations and you chime in like, "Yeah, that's an interesting thought, William. Like I never thought of it that way." And all of a sudden you're jamming because you're hearing it. So that's the advantage of that. And that's what that does also when you have spatial and positional sounds is it's more realistic because you can get away from a conversation, go to the next one. Get
Yeah,
away from this
I've
one, go to
actually
the next
gotten
one.
lost trying to find somebody in a room that was talking because of what you said, that the loudness is so loud everywhere. You're like, well, who is the person that's talking? Where am I supposed to? And you know, and
Right.
you're like, I'm confused in here. And I love the idea that AR is going to be first, and maybe what we'll do is they'll have like AR VR glasses where it'll be
Yeah.
like certain tint levels on the glasses that allow you to have a certain level of depth, so that if you do want to go to a VR world, you don't have to take off those glasses, put on a helmet.
Yeah.
Granted, it may not be the best experience as far as super enveloping, but you'll still get to do the thing and speak to the people and be the person that you need to be in that moment.
Yeah. That's what we're hoping we can do in the future is do a mix of like that VR, AR. So for example, in the office setting, right? You have an office, but it would be great when you go from a virtual world and when you sit down in your virtual desk, you actually end up in front of your desk and then have it where you can actually see your computer working. And then when someone's here, like, oh shit, I got to get up, take that out, and now you go into virtual mode again. So those are
Mhm.
definitely things that I at least anticipate and hopefully that's something possible, you know?
I had an idea that was some years ago, really in the last 2 years, and it was this idea of like, let's look at a stadium. Like if we were looking at a stadium, and let's say the band is playing here,
Yeah.
right? We could, in essence, set up 6 cameras that are 360 cameras that are streaming.
Yeah.
Right? And then now you can put that into a server bank so that you can have as many people as you want on each camera. And
Yeah.
now you can charge a certain amount for, let's say, the really crappy seats in the stadium part, all the way down to the green room,
Yes.
where you pay
So
VIP tickets to be able to talk to the band before they go on
that's
stage.
right.
And I
That's right.
haven't, the thing that blows my mind is that idea right there that I just came up with, or that we just talked about,
Yep.
is not at all hard for a major corporation like,
Right.
I don't know, what's the big company that does all of the major shows around the world, Live Nation,
Yeah.
for them to do it every single one of their locations
So
and
I
have
think what
like all these tickets. I mean, think about the people who are like Kiss fans, right?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine those people want to go to every Kiss concert. You have a whole NFT memorabilia thing that you go with there. You have
Right.
T-shirts now that you can do, cups and blah, 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 that you can do, which is if you went to the concert, you're given an NFT. If you have that NFT, you can then go to the website, which you can prove that you have that connection with your wallet and
Yep.
that concert in particular, pay the $25, get the T-shirt from that venue,
Yeah.
which is the online version of the venue.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
super cool
And that's funny
already.
you mentioned that. So those are one of the things that actually I plan on actually trying to implement is that same exact idea. And one of the best things to implement that on is, at least I would start with, are things that are very like closed in, a stage, the UFC octagon, things like that, because it's in one section, right?
I
I
mean,
think
can you
it's going to
imagine
be
360 camera from the middle of the octagon where you're looking at every single bit?
I think the best thing would be actually to have cameras in the surrounding, because then what you can do is when you're an avatar in the virtual world, in the metaverse, on this part, you're going to see that angle. As I
Right.
walk here, I see this
You could
angle, this,
nerf it.
but from the center,
You
it
could
doesn't give
nerf
you
it.
the, it doesn't
You
give
could
you the
live.
right. way, but imagine like football stadiums having cameras in the perimeter looking in. So now when you're on the stadium and now you have an infinite number of audience members and all that stuff. So that's something, because the platform that we're working with called Snippets, there we have an exclusivity with them to do events for them. And he already has sort of the technology. For example, one of the things he's trying to do is bring the aquarium from the real world into the virtual world. So he's actually is going to put cameras that's looking at the aquarium. So you're actually at the aquarium, looking at the shark, looking at the fish that's in the aquarium, but you're looking at it from your computer. So if that exists, and I'm like, well, I can easily make that the Octagon. I can make that the UFC. I
You can
can
make
make
it
that the
insane.
concert.
Yeah.
So now,
So
and the
cool.
biggest difference, a lot of things that people are doing in the metaverse world is, yeah, you can see, but do I get to interact? Do I get to talk to my friends that are attending? That is what makes it more important, because if you can't do that, then why the fuck are you there? You're just watch a live stream then. It's the
Right.
same exact thing. Same
Right.
thing. There's
Right.
nothing different. What makes a difference is the meaningful connections that you have. All of a sudden, you're meeting a fan from Brazil, you're meeting a fan from somewhere else, or you bring your friends over there like, yo, this is so sick, da da da. Did you see that? Like, no, I couldn't see it from this angle. Like, so it's going to be a different experience. And what's cool with the virtual world is now you're all in the same place, from different geographical locations. So that's just that's just the entertaining space that we're thinking of, is what you're mentioning right now. But we haven't even gotten into like the advantage of the office space, learning space, having classrooms. With everything going on in the world, the education system really sucks now. People always talking about you know education should be free. It's been free for a minute now. Like, it's called the internet. Like, everyone has access to information. YouTube University, like, you have everything going on. So it's already free. So do we really need the education? There's someone that I just saw yesterday that has a startup. It's called UAI, and he never went to college, self-learned, and he worked on Google. So when you tell me like it's not free, I don't know, I'm gonna have to really, really question you on that. Especially with AI today, it's even making it acceleratingly fast, because anyone has access to information. And there's a nonprofit called Khan Academy that I would love to be able to work with as a tutor in our classrooms. And I think we can really enhance what we can do in the educational side of like doing the metaverse and virtual, because it's really boring for kids to be just watching a teacher on a screen. That's why it doesn't work. But if I can, during break, I can see one of my friends, yo, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to this classroom in the virtual world. Oh, I'm going here, but 10 minutes, hold on, let's hang out for a minute. And I think what would even make it even more interesting is when we do hyper local events in the metaverse, where instead of, just because the metaverse can access like the whole world, doesn't mean you have to. There's an advantage in going hyper local with your metaverse. You're just not leaving your home. But if kids can go to a local teacher in your town, they're still able to see the friends in your town. So I think that's really what's going to be a real advantage in the whole educational thing, rather than trying to be educated by someone in California while I'm in Jersey. So there's a lot of things that you can enhance, but the most important thing we really have to discuss is the real meaningful connections. And like I said before, I get people arguing like no one would ever go in there. In the meantime, there's 1,000 people in a Twitter space. We're like, why is everyone here then? Like, there's 1,000 people listening, just audio style, just audio. Why are they there? So what if you could do both? Walk around, talk, and also visualize, like that's a whole different story. So all these podcasts that's happening, why do a podcast just talking to one person? Why not have your audience or your community talk amongst each other while you're doing a podcast in a podcast studio?
Right, and then also like feed off of the community's conversations, almost in the same way that you do with chat. But
Right.
but have it be like a fireside talk where there is,
Right.
granted, one person doing the talk, but somebody can
Right.
raise their hand and be like, oh, but I have a question
Exactly.
about what you just said. And the person's like, oh, what do you need? Oh, well, you said this thing about this quantum math thing, but could you get a little bit more detailed because I'm lost, bro? And then the guy goes, yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Da, 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 da. And it makes the thing more fluid and more dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm really excited about implementing, like you mentioned in the beginning about my involvement with mental health and suicide prevention, is having these free events. So we have a nonprofit for mental health and suicide prevention, and we plan on doing events because, one of the things that people don't do is be proactive when it comes to mental health. And by having these events and maybe basically accepting donations, I'll be able to grab speakers and stuff like that. And actually, if you don't mind, you want me to kind of talk about like what I'm doing with Start Day One or our nonprofit? Oh, you're muted. You're on mute. I can't hear you. You're on mute. You're muted right now. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. I turned it off because
Yeah.
there's noises in the background. I don't want, I want to hear you. But yeah, I was going to say we didn't get to do the intro in that respect because we just jumped in so quickly.
Yes.
But yeah, so who are you? And we got a bit of the info, but where are you from? Where were you born?
Yeah.
Where are you living now? All of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm in actually, going live here in New Jersey, Tom's River. People know Seaside Heights maybe with the whole Jersey Shore show. They try not to get involved with that. But we're by the beach, people think like, wait, they're surfing in New Jersey. I'm like, yeah, it's Atlantic Ocean. What do you mean? Like, of course. But yeah, so I've been basically a serial entrepreneur, had a clothing line and working on the metaverse like we discussed, and also have the nonprofit foundation for suicide prevention. So a little bit more about that, just so because I love talking about mental health. So, when I lost my brother to suicide, I learned that depression and anxiety, they're just like happiness. They're not the cause. They're just natural and temporary emotional responses based on our perspectives, not our situations. That's why rock stars commit suicide while the homeless are struggling to survive. Like, why is that? Well, everyone knows to live life to the fullest, but we continuously complain about Mondays, traffic, weather. It's just human nature to take life for granted. Sometimes we're inspired to be more hopeful when we hear a great story. We appreciate life more, right? When someone passes away. But that sense of inspiration is really temporary. All motivational quotes you're exposed to, they're meaningless unless you make a decision. After like talking to thousands of people, I really learned that a negative perspective is what evolves into anxiety, depression, drug abuse, and eventually suicide. It starts here. Suicide is just the end game. Obviously, if you succeed, you're gone, right? But everyone's being taught to keep waiting for symptoms of depression or anxiety, and I'll even get deeper into that. And we're being told that people are depressed because they have depression, even though it doesn't make any sense if I say to people, I'm happy because I have happiness. Doesn't make sense. People are like, what? Well, that's exactly how you sound when you tell me you have depression. So it's impossible to prevent any problems without being proactive. You can't prevent cavities if you don't proactively brush your teeth. Please do not wait for pain and go, oh, I should start brushing my teeth. Or diabetes. What do we tell our kids? Halloween is coming up. Don't eat all the fucking candy because you're gonna get diabetes, right? Why do we say that? Because we're being proactive. But what people are doing in like compared to mental health is saying like, oh no, eat all that candy you want. I know how to look for symptoms, buddy. Huh. Go ahead, you do that. So it doesn't really make sense how we're going about this. So you can't solve your problems before making a decision. Being accountable and making decisions is the only way to really find a solution that allow you to, quit the job you hate, let go of past trauma, go on vacation, or even start your own business. Those are decisions you have to actually make. So Start Day One is just a nonprofit foundation where we have a more proactive approach to helping people instead of reactively waiting for symptoms of mental health issues and suicidal tendencies, which is what most professionals and organizations do. They're just like doctors. They're just very reactive. You don't go to the doctor and say, hey, what diet should I do to prevent cancer? You go there when you have cancer. The thing is, no one's talking about prevention ever. So it's the same thing with mental health. And in fact, it's even worse with mental health because everyone has this notion that there's nothing they can do about it. So our mission to inspire people is to really to change their perspectives from waiting for one day to starting day one. You know, because what that means is there's a day 2, day 3, day 4. We're really just overwhelmed with how much we have to do, but really we just don't know where to start. That's why we say, you know, you just have to really start day 1. Everyone's exposed to inspirational content every day, but they're all meaningless unless you actually make a decision, like I said. So we really need to change people's perspectives. That's where it all comes from, because that's what influences our decisions. So I just reverse engineered everything. So when anyone here that's listening, you know, when you find yourself complaining or making excuses in your own pursuit of happiness, or to me, it's more fulfillment, it's not because it's impossible. You haven't decided to do it yet. Everyone that's in trouble knows exactly what to do, but they won't make the decision. And that's really the biggest problem. So that's what we're doing with Start Day 1.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a quote that I just recently heard that hits home. You have to want to change something about yourself to achieve the thing that you want. And the reason that you don't have it is because you're not the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't have the thing that you want. So until you find an absolute want in change, it's not coming.
And the want is not even enough. The decision needs to happen. The want is there. They all want to, but they won't decide to. Everyone wants to start their own business. Everyone wants to. What? Start. Like, what are you doing? You don't have to know the entire business. You think every startup founder knew exactly what they were going to do? No, hell no. Because in fact, in this startup game, nothing ever works. That's why investors, they don't really look at business plans anymore, because they know it's false. It's not going to happen. You're going to pivot. Something is going to go wrong. You're going to have something wrong. And it's funny, because of the startup realm, I always kind of use what I've learned in that for mental health. You know, with people going through, you know, difficulties, it's like, you know, you have to pivot and persevere, just like in a startup. You know, you have to figure out what you're doing. You know, you really have to look at everything that you're doing. And like, the problem is no one's really being given a sort of like a formula of how to get there. From what I've seen, it's like everything stems from perspectives, right? But more than that, it comes down to like you have no purpose. So when people get lost, first thing I say, well, where the fuck are you going? Where you going? Let me get this straight, because this is what you sound like to me right now. When you get lost in the car and you're in a highway, you just put it in park when you're lost, because that's exactly where you're at. What do you do when you get lost in the real world when you're driving? You know, I'll ask them that question. So they're like, well, you know, pull over, right? You pull over. Take the time, right? Then what do? Well, I figure out how I'm going. There better be a destination in that thing. I'm sure you're looking for the GPS, but if there's no destination, GPS is useless. Left, right, backwards, forward, they're all wrong, because there's no destination, right? If you don't have your phone, what do? You ask for help. So asking for help in the mental health sense is basically getting some advice, talking to people, things like that. Once you find out where you're going, right, now you can go, oh, shit, I missed a turn 5 years ago. Like, it's going to take you longer to get there, but now at least you're going to get there. And that's where it becomes more important to have a purpose, because why are you going there is what gives you that perseverance. People always talk about, like, hey, you have to know your why. They're not explaining it enough. When you say their why, because they're going to go like, I want to be rich. That's not a purpose, man. That's not a purpose. I want to be a rock star. Ah, Jesus. I want to be a startup founder. So there's two things that makes a purpose a real purpose. Number one, it must be a verb, not a noun. You cannot say I'm going to be a rock star, a startup founder, or some kind of noun. It must be a verb. And on top of that, your purpose must benefit and provide value to other people, not yourself. That is a true purpose. What that automatically does, it makes you not focus on what everyone else is doing and how you're getting, and that's what gets you really depressed. For example, look at what we're doing today. My man over here is trying to do 365 podcasts in the whole entire year. He doesn't give a fuck how many people are watching or what you're doing, because his purpose is to get knowledge out there, to talk to different people. He doesn't give a shit. That's his kind of purpose here. Obviously, you want to get a deeper purpose, more meaningful, a specific target audience, just like a startup. And people don't understand. They think they have to find their purpose. False, false. You never find your why. You have to create it. You don't create a startup and all of a sudden there's a mission automatically for it. You have to create a mission for your startup. Well, the same thing with you. People don't understand that. And everyone has different purpose. A purpose as a father, a purpose as a business owner, a purpose. So all those things, you know.
So I mean, it's funny because over the last episodes, and they all happen so randomly in the sense that I'm asking people. I just started out of nowhere, by the way, 17 days ago. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't write it up in something and hey, I'm going to start doing. No, I just started doing it, and then I just started begging for people. Right. And if I look at my calendar. I'm like, oh my God, it's starting to fill in. And if I look further, ahead, there's people that have chosen stuff in October, November already. And it's like, whoa, that's really intense. Like people want to be on, but they want to schedule it out for themselves and whatever else. And it's really cool. And so, the thing that I'm getting at is that the thing that has been the prevalent story across the board with everything that I've encountered so far is exactly what you're saying. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done.
Yeah, not only that. So what's more important for people that are like listening, what you're doing is because you have a future version of yourself that you are seeing. How do you get to that future version of yourself? You have to fucking do this. You have to get people to talk. You have to do a podcast. You have to discuss. You can't be ready. You're like, yo, video, 10 minutes, buddy. Like, let's go. Facebook Live. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start using streaming devices to enhance what you're doing now. You're going to, I recommend StreamYard. But there's going to be things that you're going to be using. So what a lot of people go through is very common, right? That you hear about imposter syndrome. So to me, the biggest cure for imposter syndrome is really knowing your future version of yourself. The future version of yourself, how does that person get there? You think you just become that person? What do you have to go through? You have to go through what my man right here is going through right the fuck now. The only way he's going to get there is through that. It's just like sports. You don't just become an Olympian, man. Like, you have to go through the practice, and it sucks. A lot of people think like do what you love, but it doesn't mean you have to enjoy it. But people think enjoyment and love is the same shit. Olympians hate practice. Are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? Like marathons hate that run. That's rough. The daily waking up, it's rough. Do they love it? Yeah, but do they enjoy it? Not really. Never heard of someone say like, oh man, I love getting beat up in practice. Like it's never something you talk about. But that's why I said before, it's not about happiness. It's about fulfillment.
Fulfillment.
You get fulfilled going through those things because it's actually required. People say living life to the fullest all the time, but they don't really realize like what's entailed. It requires the struggle. It requires the challenges. And one way for me to prove that is like, all right, tell me one great movie you've seen that has no conflict challenge,
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Somebody just chimed in. His name's Chadluck. Says, mine at 7 years old, but now my daughter is using the full spectrum CBD gummies for her ADHD, PTSD, anxiety, autism, depression, and ODD. Yeah. Wow, that's a full spectrum of a lot of stuff. And it really is helping, especially with her mood and focus, tantrums, and sleep. She's doing a lot better now. And I get them from Zara Healing on Instagram. I guess it's somebody trying to promote it out. Free commercial. But nonetheless, how do you feel, since that was something that was brought up, how do you feel about homeopathic medicines? or medicines that aren't regulated in the sense of getting a pill from a doctor that is which is base forms of plant medicine anyway. So like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that and the usage of plant medicine, let's say even psychedelics and mushrooms and all of that? Where do you feel that goes with people who are addicts and also people who have never been an addict but want to release trauma? Have you
So
used that,
there's
or
a
do you
lot of
feel like
things.
that's a good thing?
Yeah. So one of the things people have to understand is that you always want to be, what I discuss is prevention. Okay. So you have to be proactive. One of the biggest things that the society has done is really fuck it all up. Number one is that they're always trying to remedy the result, not the cause, right? Yoga, pills, the psychedelics, those are just trying to remedy the result. But what is the cause? That's what you really need to focus on, right? And the biggest problem is that society has made the result the cause. They say depression, that's why you're depressed. And that's why you're thinking about killing yourself. No. What's happening is something's causing someone to be depressed most of the time is something from the past, right? Trauma, some kind of trauma, right? They get depressed. That's why you're in depression. But people think depression is something you get rid of. It's a fucking emotional response. It's natural. It's actually healthy for you. When you don't cry it out, you're gonna, people know this. This is, everything I talk about is common sense. You hold it in and you hold it in, and you don't talk it out. And guess what happens to you? You get fucked up, So you really need to figure out what the cause is. Am I against the psychedelics and drugs? Of course not. That's like me saying, like, don't take insulin when you have diabetes. You already have diabetes. You're already trying to remedy the result. But the cause is the damn sugar. Are you still doing that? Then why the hell are you taking insulin if you're still eating the sugar? Well, same thing in every aspect of your life. People talk about ADHD. Like, to me, it's just like a kid. It's being a kid. For example, with dogs. I don't know if you're familiar with dogs, but when you have a husky, super hyper, right? Super hyper. You have a lab, very easy to train and all that stuff. We don't go around going like, yo, my dog is so hyper, tearing up my couch. Let me give it a pill to calm it down because it has ADHD, basically. We don't do that. So why is that? Because we accept that that's what a husky is. Well, that's what we need to do with our freaking kids. They're the same way. Instead of making them play on a computer, they need to play sports. You got to get them tired. You need to get them focused on something. You need to get them to get more involved. That is remedying the cause, because people are always saying like, oh, it's nature versus nurture. No, dude, it's how do you nurture nature? Because who they are, you have to really figure out how to take care of them, what to do with them. So you can do all the yoga you want, but if you still haven't forgiven your dad, I'm just saying, you're gonna need mushrooms. You're still gonna need all those things, all because you won't handle what's really causing your pain or whatever. And it all boils down to perspective. Everyone, stop looking at what people are doing now. Look at the people that got out of depression, that got out of anxiety, which is just an emotion. And all of it is future-based. It's not about past, like the trauma, this, that. It's because what you're thinking about the future is what really fucks you up. When the COVID hit, you have the same house, you have the same family, everyone's chilling. But the future in your mind is disaster, chaos. And so that's what made you depressed. It wasn't your current situation. It wasn't your past either. Every time people don't understand, like any kind of progress, if I was from the future and I told, my boy here right now, William, like, you can have 1 million followers in a year. Your stress of doing this would be gone because like gone. Because your future version, you already know you're good, right? But it's the unknown. But that's what makes life interesting. How many people here have done sports? Have you done any sports or anything like that? Yeah. So
Of course.
In sports, does the level of difficulty increase or decrease as you go along? Get older or get really involved in a sport. It gets harder, right?
Yeah.
Video games, same thing.
Harder. Yeah.
Video games, same thing, right? It gets harder. Then why the fuck are you playing it? Why? It's getting harder. Why are you doing it? Right? If that was the case, and people really loved the no problem, no challenges, then they would love the games that they can beat in one day. Same thing in real life, right? What makes it more interesting is the challenges. People keep thinking about like, oh, what makes, what's the meaning of life? Wrong question. What makes life more meaningful? That's really what you need to figure out. So that's where it kind of goes. And so when you don't know your future, kind of like what I mentioned before in a car, when you don't have a destination of who you want to be, then you're going to have a really hard time. You need to take the time and figure out that purpose, like I mentioned before. Because when you don't have a purpose, you don't know what perspective to do. Because perspective always shifts. Inspiration, positive; trauma, negative. You need the inspiration to kind of beat that, but trauma, this is never ending, people. It's never, no one's permanently happy. No one's permanently happy. There's not one person that's going to be permanently happy. All of a sudden someone passes away, they shouldn't feel depression. Is that what you're telling me? You're getting rid of depression. So what people are doing, they're taking pills like, yo, dude, I'm still feeling depressed. I must be fucked up. And so there's so many things we're doing wrong. The biggest mistake that people have said or done is say that, oh, depression is a mental illness. Do you know what that did to people? Well, first of all, why are people saying that? Well, they felt bad. They didn't want to feeling the stigma and all this stuff. So let me cater to your little, feelings. Let me hug you a little bit. Think about how it affects them in the future. Just like pretend it's like your little kid. It's awesome to give them candy right now so they just stop yelling, but is that what's really good for them? When you say it's a mental illness, it was just to make them feel good so that everyone accepts it. But then you're forcing people to accept something that you just said they can't do anything about it. So why shouldn't there be a stigma? You created the stigma.
Yep.
You created the stigma because you said there's nothing they can do about it, and you expect me for them to handle my kids. You're telling me you're not going to get freaked out if someone has a mental health condition that was written out and they're taking pills. Hi, I'm a babysitter. I take this pill, this pill, this pill. I'd love to take care of your kids now. Are you going to be okay with that, or are you going to have a little bit of that? So don't play this game of trying to play this. This is what's happening in the world today, right? We're creating these like different things to coddle. But what really did is we have to think about the future. What's really good for them? It's about accountability. So it's really about accountability. When you take away their accountability, well, you know what else you take away? Hope. You just took away.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
Yeah, because people are being told there's nothing you can do about it. Well, what do you think they're feeling now then? You think they got better? They just went, oh. And when you say that, what's the only remedy? Pills. Right? And that's all the doctors tell you. They don't say like, you should, start doing this to prevention. But what people are doing, like, it's kind of like in physical health, right? Dude, I did 50 push-ups. I don't see any difference. Dude, you kind of have to, you kind of have to go a little bit longer.
No,
man.
I think it goes back to the response of what you said earlier, which is like, you are where you are today based on the things that you did yesterday, not what you did today. And
more
that's that
importantly,
same
who you're trying to
response.
be.
Right. And you're not going to be what you want to be tomorrow, today, just because you thought about it. And it's not as easy as you think it is.
Yeah.
People are always like, they'll come up to me and I'll do a magic trick. And I always get this response, which is like, oh, I know how you did it. And my old response would be like, cool, show me. And then they go, well, no, I don't know how you did it, but I know how you did it. And I'm like, no, you think you know, but you don't actually know. You don't know the hours of life that I sat in a room with a deck of cards doing this one move just so that you don't see that one move. You don't know. You saw a YouTube video, and all of a sudden you correlate the easiest thing in magic to do with the move that I just did or the performance that I just did. And it's not. I think it's the thing that is inspiration on some level. Like when I go see, let's say, a famous guitarist or somebody like Slash or Stevie Ray Vaughan, blessed be it, but any of those characters or any people in general that you watch it and you go, I could do that. And you just seemingly just internally you go, oh, that doesn't look that hard. He's just moving his fingers up and down a board with some strings on it while he's hitting this one
Gotta
string
be.
back. That doesn't look that hard,
Right.
you know? And then you go to a guitar center and you pick up a guitar and it's like, you know, it sounds like crap. And you're like, no, but I know I can do it, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, that's the difference, I guess, what you were saying earlier with the difference of wanting and
Yeah.
actually doing.
Yeah, and here's a great story. So I have these stories. So when I was doing my clothing line, right, I would talk. This is how I learned like so much.
You actually to mention your clothing line. Sorry, do you
Yeah.
still have it? And also,
Yeah.
fill us in on all that.
Yeah. Basically, it's forget clothing. Yeah. So basically, it's the same concept that we're kind of applying with the start day one. That was just an evolution. And I realized, like, you know, we have to do a little bit more in mental health. But the biggest difference is what we're trying to do with the clothing line is basically have it act as a reminder. Everyone knows to live life to the fullest. We just all need reminders. I can tell you every fucking quote that I see, and you're going to go, oh, that's true. Oh, that's true. It's not, you don't go like, oh, dude, I've been sweating all the small stuff. Son of a, like, I didn't know that. Life is short. Oh, dude. Why didn't anyone tell me this whole time? Every generation tells the next generation, life is short, live life to the fullest, don't sweat the small thing, da-da-da. Every positive thing you already know. The only thing is that you need that reminder. I need to shift your perspective. Some kind of trauma doesn't have to be someone raping you or something huge. It could be something as small as like, yo, your nose is big. That's traumatic as hell, and that's always not forever. You're like, you know, that's traumatic. So
I
inspiration.
mention that a lot. I
What's
say
that?
to people, you know, I'll say something to someone, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, Paul, thank you so much for this." And then I'll remind them. I go, "But don't you know that in the conversation that we had, you mentioned to me that when you were 16 years old, your mom said these exact same words to you, and you grabbed those and threw them away." And there was a person who possibly had a conversation as they were walking down the street, and the same three words from that conversation creeped into your mind once. Another 7 years later, they didn't do anything either. It
Yeah.
was your willingness to want to change or to find the fault in your actions, in your way of being, that
Yeah.
has led you to me as a lamppost and only that
Yeah.
has directions here that says you can go this way or this way. You choose. I'm
Yeah.
just like giving you
Perspective.
some directions.
That's all perspective is. It's the same exact situation, the same exact. Everything's the same exact. That's why I always say it's perspective. Is how are you looking at it right now? The thing is, we have to find the conversations or the inspiration that'll shift it this way. You know, negative conversations will shift it back. You know, if you're surrounded by that, that's what's going to happen. You know, there's so much inconsistencies in our philosophies that confuses people. For example, the most common thing, does money buy happiness? Everyone says, nah, dude, no. So why are you so surprised when a rock star commits suicide? You just said it can't buy happiness, but you're still going, oh my God, I can't believe he had the fame, the fortune. You just said that doesn't buy happiness, but he can't commit suicide? So it's inconsistent. And the thing that makes that comment consistent is that money does buy happiness. The problem is your perspective on happiness. You think it's permanent. That's the problem. Happiness, you do buy happiness temporarily. It's just that it's not permanent. It never is. But it always does. So when people say like, oh, that money doesn't buy happiness, dude, you give me $1 million. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to increase happiness a little bit. Can I sustain it? That's the question. That's where purpose comes in. That's where your perspectives, inspiration. People still don't know the differences between inspiration and motivation. Inspiration is what shifts your perspectives. A motivation comes after the decision. I can't motivate you unless you've decided. I cannot do it. For you to decide, I need to shift your perspective. For you know what perspective you want, I need to know your purpose. So again, I hope people are starting to see kind of the line here of what you need to really do to get to that. And it's all about your decisions. No one makes all the right choices. The thing is, how are you going to handle the consequences? How do you
Right.
deal with that? Is what's more important than anything else. No one knows what the hell they're doing. You try to get advice, you try to get things like that, but I just want to go back to accountability because to me, it's really important to people for people to understand what I mean. So when I was doing my, my clothing, like I said, I was talking to this couple. They end up buying stuff, they leave. This one kid was sitting here listening in, and he approaches me and he goes, I really love what you're saying about, starting with the decision, but it's not that easy. I go, I never said it was easy, but that's where it starts. He goes, yeah, but I'm in rehab now and blah, 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 blah. And I go, yeah, it doesn't matter. That's still where it starts, that's where it starts. Yeah, but so I was getting sick of it. So I said, like, dude, stop saying but. It always starts with a decision. Tell me why you can't do that. And I backed up. He started looking at the ceiling going, yeah, almost said but, only because I said, don't say it again. But he was ready to say it again, but he was looking up. And I'm going, what are you doing? I didn't tell you to read a book or even run a marathon. Like, what are you doing? He's looking through his database of excuses right now, going like, what else can I say to this guy so I can win and stay depressed? Because when you're in a bad place, we love excuses. So he's going around, and I'm just looking at him like, what are you? Won't decide. And he finally goes, you're right. You're right. And I'm like, yeah, I know. You're welcome. He went into rehab. He haven't even decided to be better. He's making them like, let's see if they can fix me. That gag. And I'm just like, yeah, no one fixes you. You fix yourself. So anyway, another event happens. There was this lady. I say the same exact story. And she tells me angrily, no, it's different for everyone. And I'm like, ooh, another one. I'm like, no, it always starts with a decision. He's like, no, nope. And then was so mad. I'm talking mad, and just left. And then I'm just like, that's so weird. I didn't say anything crazy, right? Just starts with a decision. Is that crazy? Is that a crazy thought? Nothing crazy at all. So why would someone be so angry? So I'm very analytical. So I'm going like, why would someone be so, oh, as soon as she agrees with that philosophy is as soon as she has to let go of her excuses. If she accepted that, she doesn't want to let go of the excuses. No, my dad. It was definitely my dad. That's why no, because you're telling me I'm responsible. So that's when I realized no one wants to take accountability, and we made it worse by saying you have no accountability. And so now we've taken away their hope. Now instead of struggling, they're suffering. There's a big fucking difference. A marathon runner struggles for the finish line. Someone in jail is suffering because they can't do anything about it, right? And so that's really the big things that we're doing wrong in society today. And it's really, really hurting everyone. And you can see with the way people are talking, everything that you see in the news right now is based on
There's
our
a lot
mental
of
health.
that that's being done with like the homeless, right? It's this climbing program to get you to be okay. And it's like, you're asking somebody who's not okay to do
Just to be okay.
things that don't fit at all within their mental scope of what they're even able to do. They're already living on the street, bro.
Yeah.
They're already eating from handouts. They're already at the lowest point.
Right.
Whether it's drug addiction, physical inability, or mental problems. Those are the reasons why people are on the streets.
No, I
For the
have to
most part.
correct you on that. So all those things are the results. Addiction, drugs, those are just
100%.
results. That's not the
100%.
reason why. Why are they into drugs? Why? So people, when I talk about suicide, people don't need help because they're suicidal. They need help. That's why they're suicidal. So when you talk about addiction, it's like, no, they don't need help because they're addicted. They need help. That's why they're addicted. You have to remember that. You have to look at the cause. It's like no one just goes like, dude, I can't wait to be a drug addict and lose my teeth. Woo! Man, that's my goal. That is my goal. Do you think everyone becomes homeless on purpose? And you're pissed off at them. people always say, right, hang around with the small, but at the same time, you're going like, you need to support mental health and this. The annoying people are the ones that need help. The ones that talk negative are the ones that need help, but we say stay away from them. Well,
Right.
is that helping them? Guess what? They're
No, of
going to
course
be
not. No, but it's the fear. It's the fear aspect of society where I would rather keep a fence around my house and take care of my own
right.
than to worry about the problems that are outside of my fence.
Mhm.
And that's a mentality that, unfortunately is one that also stops us from being able to actually grow as a race.
Yeah.
It's what creates the poverty. It's what creates the division and the misguided attempts to try and fix, like you said, the
Yeah.
problems and not the issues,
Yeah.
the real dilemmas of society. We
Yeah.
don't want to. We'd rather put gum on the dam, in that little hole, and then when the next one, we'll just put another piece of gum over here, up another piece of gum over there,
Right.
and then what do you have? You have a Katrina that happens in New Orleans.
Right. So
And we're at that point in society right now. We're at that point where everybody's on some kind of, what is it? 1 out of every 3 people in the United States are on some kind of drug,
antidepressant.
antidepressant,
Yeah.
or even not just that, but I'm just saying drug in general, whether that be for
Yeah.
heart disease, whether it be
Yeah.
for one thing
Yeah.
or another,
Yeah.
and then those drugs lead to other problems,
Right.
kidney
And
failure and
so
liver failure and
right. So we can go even deeper into that. And one of the biggest cause of that is basically your mindset. So your mindset, people know this, affects your physiology, right? So there's this book, it's Mind Over Medicine. She studied these things that really affect you. So there's a reason for that. It's the cortisol that really harms you. It's your fight or flight response, or your sympathetic, or I'm sorry, which one? I forget which one it is. The sympathetic nervous system, and then there's the parasympathetic nervous system, where it goes against the relaxation response. So for people to understand it more, it's basically just the stress response. Back in the day, it was instilled in us because we always want to survive. We don't do things that are scary and stuff, because that's why you get the rush or whatever. It pumps out the cortisol. It was meant to help you survive for that temporary moment, right? But the problem with us as humans now, we think about things like you're late and I'm going to lose my job. And if I lose my job, I'm going to lose my family. And so what happens is you're prolonging this stress response, and your stress and your cortisol, your mind affects your body so much, to the point that there's studies that are being shown where your veins or whatever would actually dilate and constrict just based on what you think about stress. People that think stress is okay, stays like this, blood's flowing, because I'm ready for that lion, ready to attack, ready to take it on, because they don't think stress is bad for them, just by that alone. And so there's studies about people, obviously getting rid of cancer and things like that, even to the point of that. So, and all it is a perspective shift in your mind. Nothing changes. Because when you change your perspective, that's how you change your beliefs. You can't just change your belief and all of a sudden your perspective's different. The perspective is what really changes. And what I've learned is really through questions. When you're talking to people, ask them through questions, because you need to come up with it. If I tell you what to do and motivate you too early, right? We've all been to breakups. Come on, let's go out. Let's go out. Dude, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Like, leave me alone. Moms that are very like, you're so great though, but you become annoying. What you need to do is listen to your kid first. They need to shift their perspectives first. You need to tell them like, how are you feeling? What's going on? What are you doing today? Well, wouldn't it be better if you learned this, and maybe that would make it better this way? Like, yeah, it has to come from them. And so when I tell people that, to help others is really just talk to them, and then figure out what's really troubling them. I learned this because I was in a bad state of mind, yelling at my freaking wife, and she said, yeah, but you're the man, you'll be all right. And I went, babe, I was actually starting to feel better, but as soon as you did that, it came all back again. I don't know why. So I said, maybe
yeah,
next
it's
time.
funny. It's funny how that can happen, right?
Yep.
And we mentioned that a minute ago about how just one word, oh, your nose is too big. And then for the rest of your life, you're like,
Yeah.
for years, and you've never noticed this throughout this entire conversation, I'm sure, but maybe you have. But if you look really carefully, my ears are really weirdly placed. All right, one doesn't stick out, one kind of sticks out. It's got this
Yeah.
weird thing going on. All right,
Yeah.
since a kid, I've had major issues with it. I'll be in the middle of filming with you, and I'll look at the way that I'm talking, and I'll be like, "Oh, I need to show more of my top teeth. So how do I do that?" It is the most mind-boggling thing in the world
Yeah.
because you want to give the best of yourself to somebody, right?
Of course.
And so when you lose a tooth, or when you're crazy like me and you grab a pair of pliers and you pull it out yourself because you don't have any money because you want to live homeless, and you're like, okay, well, where's that trauma from, buddy? Like, what
Right.
happened there? Yeah, where's your belief system at? And so there's also, I think, also dependent upon where you are in your life, dependent upon what cup you have, because we all have different size cups and also different measurable versions of cups and so on and so forth. The analogy, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, it's funny to me how much we fret over trying to be something when I feel like all we need to do is just be many times and not allow the stoicism of life. It's so much that I'm there's so many things that I'm turning into that I never thought I'd be in life. And so one of those is like, I really enjoy the idea of the Stoics and what they're saying when they describe certain things about actions and reactions to the world around you, as well as I'm turning into a transhumanist in a way that I never thought I would, where I kind of think that moving into the future means we are, in essence, becoming this thing that we've created, that we're creating, and then we become the creators.
Yeah.
At least I think. I don't know.
No, definitely. That's what's most important. All the trauma in the world doesn't freaking matter. It's because you have no purpose and you're thinking of like, well, what do you think of me? So one of the biggest things, right, that affects you is like, oh, what do people think of me, right? But do you care what your friend does for a living? Are you not going to be friends with him because he's a janitor, or are you still boys with him? You don't really care, but they think differently of you, that if you're not successful, you're not, like, people are looking down on you. And it's because you lack that purpose. Purpose, again, that has nothing to do with you. What are you doing for other people? When you do that automatically, you start to not talk about you. And there's difference between purpose and goal. Purpose is infinite. That's why it's so awesome. Goals are very finite. Rock star, those are all nouns. They're measurable, right? A purpose is never ending. It keeps on going. For my clothing line, for example, our mission is basically a purpose. And it's become kind of like one of my purposes. I'm trying to inspire and motivate people to live life without regret and accept challenges that are worth the risk. When does that stop? When's the end to that? It keeps on going. So that's what guides me and what I need to do. Because does that inspire someone to live life a little more? Well, that's not. So it focuses you. So the thing with perspective is great. So quick story, I was snowboarding, right? Going through the glades, or basically, for people to know, like, the trees are like 10 feet apart, and we're going through, cruising through there. So it's obviously dangerous. I was going through there, but I would go 1, 2, 3, and then all of a sudden, tree, like shit. So I stopped. And then I try it again and get up. It's a pain to get up because the snow is deep, so your hands are going through. And then I get up and I go again. 1, 2, 3, trees, son of a... How the hell do they get through this thing? And I'm always like crashing into a tree. Friends are cruising through, hopping, cruising. And I'm going, wow. So anyway, my friend, sprays me a little bit, stops to check on me and says, "Dude, you all right?" And I said, like, yeah, but yo, dude, how are you guys going through this like so easily? And I'm thinking like he's been snowboarding for like 15 years. But you know what he tells me? Dude, stop looking at the trees. Look at the path between the trees. And he goes, and I'm just like, what? No way. And then so I get up. I have no freaking choice. The only way for me to get out of here is to snowboard out. No one's going to pick me up. Gotta go. And I'm like, all right, got it. Don't look at the trees, path between the trees. Okay. I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I purposely stop and I go, what the fuck was that? Like, that was amazing. One little shift. So did I get any better in 5 seconds? Nope. Did the environment change? The situation change? Nope. Did the trees move? Nope. Everything's still there. The only thing I changed and shifted was my perspective, and all of a sudden I got through it. So now when I talk to people about alcoholism, for example, you keep trying to avoid these trees, the alcohol, and go like, oh, I can't have alcohol. I can't have alcohol. Because you're blaming the alcohol. It's not the alcohol, dude. But when you have a path, they automatically disappear. Girls that are going through breakups with freaking, assholes. Well, not this asshole, not this one, not this. Instead, you got to have a path. What kind of person do you want? And that's what you're going to go with. They automatically disappear. Like, nope, not my type. Nope, don't like beer, because how am I going to bring my girl to recital tomorrow? Like, you automatically do that when you have a sense of purpose and you really have a clear path. And that's why it's important to have that and really shifting your perspective in your situations. And again, when you're
that was something I mentioned yesterday. All of the issues and problems seemingly go away as soon as you know what you're going to do. Like they're just not there anymore. Why? Because you can either think or do. You can either grab the nail and put it on the thing, and then you think about hitting it, and then you do the action. You don't think about doing the action as you're doing the action. All the other things go away while you're doing the action.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I think that's something that a lot of people.
And that's why I start day one.
They get caught up in what I call the idea, the difference between the ideal and the idea. So, like, I want to be a famous actor. I want to have my Oscar. But the idea is to grab a camera and film a scene with some friends that you wrote, because that's the idea, not the ideal that you have in your mind of what that's going to feel like when you do it. It's do the thing. And then from there, if the universe wants you to do it, it's a matter of one or two things: persistence and consistency, and luck, and being in the right place at the right time. Because you could, like, look at the girl that started her podcast. It's called the Pretty Good Podcast, and she plays this very awkward character. She put all of her money into a credit card, like $24,000 or $50,000, and she paid for interviews with certain people. And I think I don't know who she did first, but it was I think it was Mark Cuban. And she puts it out, and it goes viral. And then all of a sudden, because of that one viral thing, she got Drake. And from Drake, she was able to get, what's this guy's name? Shaquille O'Neal. And I mean, she went from zero to hero.
That's amazing.
In one episode.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say that she had a definite vision. She knew where she wanted to go. She knew how to implement that vision. She took the time and energy prior to getting to that place of creating the shows to become the famous girl that she is now. All the stuff that's happened. She saw the vision 1,000%. And implemented each piece of what she needed for that to happen in that manner and in that speed.
Right.
And I think that that's impressive.
Yeah,
because that
really
means that there was a hell of a lot of pregame that happened.
Right. And that shows like how you get there, right? You have to look at the future version of yourself. People that are depressed and all that stuff, like I said before, they love excuses. One of the biggest things, if they really are like combative about things, is like, you know what? Just make them feel accountable. Well, what are you doing every day to get out of depression? What did you do yesterday? What are you doing every day? You're nothing. So you're just complaining about something to change without changing anything at all. So they get stuck in a strut, but again, they're blaming something else. And I like that you touched on the whole ideal thing. The biggest thing that gets, not the biggest thing, but one of the things that gets you really depressed and all that stuff is the idea of what you're not really having. There's this book called in this mind, this philosophy called gap in the gain. We're always looking at the gap in our lives, right? And a lot of times you compare yourself to the ideal version of yourself. And why am I not that? Especially when someone is, let's, for example, a pretty girl or a good looking dude, and just like, I should be successful. Look at me. Like, I should be successful. I was high school football star. I was the most popular kid. Those are the ones that commit suicide, because the ideal version of themselves was supposed to kill it, make it, this, that, and I didn't. And so you're not even seeing what you gained since then, but you keep comparing to what you don't have. And so what people are always doing is that. And again, it goes back to the purpose, because you're so focused on what you, me, that you're not forgetting, or you're forgetting like what value you're even providing anyone. Everything that you're talking about, Rockstar did, those are just the byproducts. So when I always mention Rockstar because people know that rockstars commit suicide, right? But just to give people a sense of like a better understanding of it, is instead of saying like I want to be a rock star, which is a noun, right, and provides zero value to anyone, you should have this purpose. Now imagine if you're a musician and your purpose is to help and inspire people that are going through trauma that I did, and help them to go through it with my songs. When does that end? When you're a rock star, does it end? Nope. Does it matter if you have 2 people in the audience or 1,000? Nope. Doesn't matter, because you're so focused on that. And so now you're now focusing on what you don't have. The rock star is a byproduct of that. The money is the byproduct of that. You know, like what you're doing now, the byproduct is going to be the success that we're talking about. But again, for people that don't understand, success is not permanent. I don't know if you know America Online.
I wanted to jump in right when you said that. Man, it would be a beautiful, awesome thing. Like, I am not going to deny it. If somebody comes and is like, I want to sponsor you. I don't know what it is that you have on your thing. You have the it factor, kid. Somebody comes and says something. Yeah. I am in no way going to say no to it. Yeah. But at the same time, if that doesn't happen, because I've done it before, and I've done the 365 twice, right? There is a massive sense of achievement when you can walk away. Look, I already feel it now, and I'm only on episode 17, so I can only imagine what I'll feel at 365. Because it's not easy to get a guest, first of all. Second of all, somebody who's on Facebook. Third of all, somebody who will use their cell phone. All of these are like already challenges. Third of all, send me a bio, links, and talking points. Another set of challenges. And I'm trying to beat that and go live and go through the hiccups without a production staff, without anything, for the want of just like meeting. And this is a want that I've had since I was a kid. I'm talking way back when I was like 5, 6 years old. This absolute just, what are you doing? Can you show me? Because I want to, you know, and it's literally that. And that's who you're talking to right now, with all of the mask and layers of years of being an adult and societal structures and handshakes and all that stuff that we have. But nonetheless, when you deep down dive inside of me, you're meeting a little kid, just like I think we all are, right? I think when you ask anyone, even if they're 60, 70 years old, we stop at some point or another in our mindscape of where we are. Like, I talk to 7-year-olds, they're like, nah, bro, I feel like I'm 20. I'm just in an old body.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going
There's
through
people
that.
Like I still feel like I'm 8 years old and I haven't grown up and I'm 45 in this body. I don't know what's going on, but I go to work every day, you know, and it's like, okay. You know, and so I get it in that respect, you know.
And you are that example, you know, to audience watching. This is the start day 1 part. He already started, except he's on day 17. Or, you know, so he's already started. But the only way to do that is to make that decision. You've always wanted it since you were fucking 5. Finally, congratulations for making a decision. And the thing is, like I said, I always compare startups to ourselves. You're just basically being a startup. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, yeah, welcome to the startup mindset. Like, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Everything we know as startup founders are all assumptions. We have no clue if it's true. The only way to get that is to get feedback or data. Until you get that, everything you are just assumptions. That's all they are. You're
And
never going to know.
that's exactly like you said. It's totally true. It's the decision to have. Well, listen, I'm also lucky enough that I'm in a situation where I don't have a quote unquote job, and I make my life into my own work in some way, shape, or form, right? Call that entrepreneurial, call that whatever you want, call that vagabond that figured it out to how to use the internet plus begging and friends to survive, whatever you want to call it. But nonetheless, I have the ability right now and the support of a friend of mine who's given me a place to stay, who gives me the ability to go live and free and not have to worry about bills and any of those things, right? But I think that came to me based on all the other things that we've talked about, right? So it comes from years of servitude to everyone in the world. My life and my statements has always been, share, love, give, grow, faith-based life. That's always been a very big mantra of mine, where I don't need to really stress or worry about where it's coming from. It's going to come. I'm not stressed. It's going to happen.
See,
I can feel it. It's just a matter of me doing. I can't just sit on the side of the road and go, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. And sure, I might get it, but it might take a really, really long time. Whereas if I get up and I say, I'm going to get it, it's called a job, and then flip the sign and says, can you give me one? Man, I'm probably going to get a job much faster that way than the guy who says, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, right?
And
it's the same effort, but it doesn't need to necessarily be a job that you go to every day and struggle and stress over and have all these psychosomatic things that then come on to you because of that stress, like you were saying earlier, which is totally real. It's totally real. People get weird stress diseases all the time, and they're all from all over your body. And I think it's from holding trauma or drama that you never resolved with. And maybe it was something that someone said to you, but you turned that your nose is too big into eating a lot. And then that turned into something else, which turned into a physical problem, which is like gallbladder disease or something. I don't know. But that comes from the stress from that nose statement. Has nothing to do with your eating, like you were saying. It has nothing to do with the leftover. It has to do with the first thing. Let's go to that. Let's cut it out, like the cancer that it is in your life. And it's funny that you said pivot, because the name of my company is called Pivotal Choice. Like my whole idea of wanting, because I believe that that's exactly what we do, right? It's just like in sports, when you're holding the football and you real quick, that guy who was going in the direction at you ain't there no more, and you're in a totally different path of existence. And it's just like you were saying, the trees keep coming at me. The trees keep coming. No, bro, you keep going towards the trees because you're thinking trees. That's it, buddy. That's it. And the more that you, and the same thing as I was saying with the show, the more that I am what I like to call mental push-ups, thinking about the act of while not doing the act is a mental push-up as far as I'm concerned, right? So it's like I'm thinking about filming, I'm thinking about getting things better, I'm thinking about having a studio, I'm thinking about editing, I'm thinking about pre-shooting, I'm thinking about, so there's like all these things that are thoughts now that aren't, is the world flat? Is this happening over here? Does China thing? Do the people hate me? Am I that? All of those thoughts that were happening prior to me saying, I'm going to go live every day again.
Yeah. And it's great because you're a great example of everything that we were talking about. Everything you're doing is based on the future version of yourself, not the past, what's happened. Even when you say a lot of people that go through, it's only said when you're in a better place. You have this mindset of like everything happens for a reason. I kind of like dismiss that because it doesn't make sense to me. To me, it's just like you're just saying a fact. Like, so you're saying when there's a cause, there's an effect. What's new about that? What's so revolutionary? Well, like, what are you telling me? And they never say that when you're in a shitty place. You are depressed. You lost your wife. This, that. Everything happens for a reason. Like, that's a dick move. right? So why don't we ever say that when a negative thing happens?
Yeah,
But
there's a
when something
story.
positive, then it becomes like, oh, see, everything happens for a reason. But people have to, instead of saying everything happens for a reason, like what you're doing over here, you're finding the reasons to make things happen. That's really what people want to say, but they're saying like, oh, everything happens for a reason. No, until you decide you want that, until you decide that you're going to do it, those decisions don't happen because you don't have this future version of yourself or whatever it is in the future, you're not seeing it. That's why you're not taking it. And
Yep.
people have, people call it the law of attraction, but to me, it's different. It's not you're attracting it to you. When you make that decision, for example, to quit the job you hate, to get rid of your relationship, all of a sudden you attract yourself to better things. It's not the other way around. You don't automatically attract a fucking job. Like, no, when you make a decision, all of a sudden, everyone has gone through this when they're in a relationship and they've decided, like, I'm over it. Boom, no more stress. You're just like, because you finally made a decision. And now all of a sudden opportunities come up. Now all of a sudden you know how to leave. Now you know what to do.
Yep.
Same thing with a job. Once you say, like, you know what, I'm quitting. Oh, you mean you didn't know to make your resume 5 years ago? Like, you didn't know that 3 years, 2 years,
You
1
had
year?
you knew all the stuff. You just didn't. You were putting excuses in front of yourself so that you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You were idealizing the whole thing instead of coming down to the ultimate terms of what it is that you're actually doing. And you have to recognize that, like, I stopped doing magic some 7 years ago. I was in a big depressional funk and blah 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 blah, and blah, blah, blah. And then that introduced a woman into my life that made it even worse, and $40,000 in debt and court dates and Jesus, I didn't need any of that, bro. I did not need any of that. But guess
you're
what?
in a bad
I
place,
needed all of that.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was the thing that was like, you can't push a horse to the water, but you sure as hell can raise the water level.
Yeah, and everything you're doing right now, it's great that you're being so, like, open about everything as well. And everything you're doing is everything that I'm trying to tell people. Like, you need to be proactive. We can't predict our future, but we fucking should. The great thing about being proactive, it's not just only good for prevention. You have to. You can't prevent anything without being proactive. You can't. But it's also great for prediction. I bet that if you keep doing this every fucking day, and if it goes beyond 365, that it's gonna get better. That it's gonna have some sort of success, some sort of sponsorship, because now people will see commitment, people will see dedication, people will see, they will get to know who you are, what you're about, all that stuff. How else are they gonna get to know you? Especially when you don't have the funds, like that's a big ballsy move. The one you were talking about, how she got a speaker and all that stuff. Like, wow, great move for you, man. And that's what startups do. But someone else can do that same thing and not make it. So don't think everyone that does their credit card is gonna make it. Like, no, the chances of that
happening. I'm
happening.
sure that there's 100 stories like hers of people who tried the exact same route that she just went, paying it, buying it, PR, the whole thing, and said, let me try this. And they did it, and it just didn't work. She has something that works. And that's apparent from just the second you start watching her videos.
Yeah, and that's really what gets us happier, is either giving or making some sense of progress. So instead of having goals, people, it's better to have when you have milestones. When you have milestones, that means you're trying to get something towards something. But when you just have goals, again, it's very finite, and then it doesn't work. And goals comes afterwards, the decision and all that stuff. You really have to just, when you're in a shitty place, expose yourself to inspiration. That's the biggest difference with inspiration and motivation. Inspiration is not forced upon you. You're just exposed to it. Movies all of a sudden inspire you. Like, wow. Stories like what you mentioned, like, wow. Things like that is what inspires you. Even just someone helping someone else in the middle of the street that you're just having coffee and you go, wow, that was really nice. Those are inspiring. So you really have to do that to get rid of any trauma. But fuck the trauma. It's what you want to be in the future anyway. People always focus on one thing, the past, the present. People get into trouble with these inconsistent philosophies. You have to live in the present. No, that fucks you up. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because If you're living in the present, what are you doing here? You should be somewhere else in the island somewhere. Like, what are you doing here? If you really believe in that bullshit. So to me, the future is what guides you. The past is, you got to learn from your past, learn from your mistakes and all that. The present is when you execute. So it's a harmonious thing. Everything has to come at once. Live in the present. You know how many people are broke because they lived in the freaking present? Not everyone all of a sudden makes it because they lived in the present. And the thing is, when I say like,
no,
when people
I hear what you're saying when you say that, but I also, just because I'm so heavy connected to that world, and I've lived such a dynamic life based on that idea of being in the moment and allowing it to happen, and I'm a leaf in the wind. I've hit 28 countries. I've had, shows everywhere. I've gotten to do amazing things. And that was all, I call it a mixture. Let's call it a mixture, because there are moments where I am a leaf in the wind and I land, in, wherever. And then as I land, I sprout little legs and I start moving around, because I don't just sit there, right?
But yet,
so I do create things to make things happen. So, for instance, I got to New Orleans. I got an agent. That agent got me a gig in Mississippi. As I finish that gig and meet the guy who also has his own show there every week, him and I go to another casino. I do magic there. I talk to someone. They invite me. I go and audition, and then I do 2 years there.
Right. And that's only because you have a better mindset today. Even though you're saying all these things, oh, this is awesome, this is awesome. Yeah, but you still got depressed 7 years ago. Why? If that was so awesome, right? So what I mean is, but what I'm going towards it is that it's only because your mindset is different now. You see a different version of your future. 7 years ago, you didn't see a good future, so you got depressed as fuck, even though you had all those experiences, right? But now you have a different future, so now you're going...
I fell into the ideal. I fell into the ideal of what I wanted it to be, instead of the help and the things that I was creating, and not recognizing and being grateful then of where I was, where I should have been super grateful, but instead I was like, I want more, and I want more, and I was like, this isn't good enough. I want a stage show. This isn't good enough. I want this, and I was forgoing, sadly, the audience members that were coming to see me. Even though I was being grateful for them, and even though I was saying thank you to them, and even though I was making friends with them on Facebook, there was still a part of me that wanted more. And that wasn't respectful to them. Yeah. And respectful to their time and their energy to come watch my show, not once, but 3 or 4 or 5 times, right? Yeah. So,
because the focus is on you. You focus on yourself. What am I getting? What am I? Me,
and it's the same thing with the 365. The focus was on me.
Yeah.
And it was this last, and I said this a bunch of times throughout the last 17 days, but it was after this week-long experience of mushrooms and having somebody say something to me that was very heavy, which was, you have a bad relationship with yourself is really the problem here. It's not anyone else. It's just you having a bad relationship with you.
Yeah.
And you need to come to terms with you, bro. Not with anybody else. Not with the thing. Not with that outside. Not, and there's all these people that say, oh, you got to love yourself. But they never express how it's supposed to be done, because it's different for every person, A, and B, it's really hard to try and understand what love yourself means. It really means love yourself. Like, give yourself a hug, give yourself a rub, tell yourself you're okay, tell yourself you're beautiful when you see yourself. Like, be okay with you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't express what that means. They, oh, you just gotta love yourself. Oh, you gotta be good to yourself, bro. It's like, well, if I've never been good to myself, and you're asking, like, it's like telling somebody who smells dirty and doesn't take showers, bro, you gotta take a shower. And they're like, what are showers, bro? Like, what? I've heard of those. I think my mom gave me one when I was younger, but since I've been 20, I'm, living in the streets. So what's showers? It's like people who give people haircuts in the street who are homeless, and they literally have a reflex within themselves where they're like, oh my God, that's me. I haven't seen me in like 20 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you'll come back to that guy, or the guy will do another video, and that guy has a job now.
Right.
And it was all from the haircut. Like,
right. And it's funny because what that does, you ingrain something, and now they see a different version of themselves. That's what happens. It's like, oh, dude, I see a different path now. because now I have this, I have this, I have that. But again, it's very temporary. If he doesn't do something about that or make a decision about something, and he just decides to do nothing while he's looking good, guess where you're going to end up? It's very
Same
temporary.
place.
Did
Yeah.
that buy them happiness? Fuck yeah, they did. They bought them happiness for that day. Yes, they did. And for people that don't understand, when I talk about future version of yourself, I'm assuming the future version of yourself is happy. So when you say that, the present version of yourself are going to do the things when people say live in the present. You're going to do that because your future version is going to be unhappy if you only focus and not live today. So when I say the future version of yourself, that's also assuming you're going to travel and take vacations and experience some shit and risk and try and all that stuff. So that's why I say it's all part of the game. It's not just one thing or the other. If you just live in the present, that's going to get you in trouble because now you have no path, you don't care, and all of a sudden you're surprised, like, why am I here? Gee, I wonder why, because you weren't trying to go anywhere. You were just doing. So that really messes it up. And like when you were saying before, like love yourself, I think one of people really get into trouble usually comes to two major things. It's usually regret and resentment. And when you say love yourself, I think that's what they are trying to say is love yourself enough to, one, to get rid of resentment. Resentment are things that other people have done. Basically, it's a forgiveness thing. It's to forgive your father, forgive your mom, forgive your friend, forgive someone for doing whatever the fuck caused that trauma that's inside you. Forgive them for doing that. Because that's a major thing that really, really hurts people. But more than one that really hurts people is forgiving themselves. That's where regret is. So regret and resentment. So regret, what is regret? How the fuck do we get rid of it? I just told you that my clothing line is to live life without regret. I question myself and I go, can you really live life without regret? Like, so all fucking decisions were right? How's that possible? So I'm looking and I'm like, I mean, there's some things I feel like I regret. Like, I should have done fucking computer programming when I was younger.
Yeah, I think there's something to that, right? When you say, like, live life without regrets, it's almost like saying that statement where everything's happening the way it's supposed to happen, the way it happens. So right? Here's everything what I is the way it needs to be and is. So yeah, there is no regrets here, bro.
No, and here's
look
the thing.
At the great song from Edith Piaf, "Non regret la regret." That that she's saying in the song, like, I regret nothing. You know, I lived my life. I did the best I could. I survived with what I knew and what I didn't know, and man, did I make mistakes along the way? But God, they were good ones. You know, and so it's like.
And here's the thing about regret. So the more I looked at it, like, well, first we have to figure out what the hell is regret. To me, regret are just personal experiences you've had that you never forgave yourself for. So what's the cure? Forgive yourself. Oh, I did this, did that, did this, got into fucking drugs, Yeah, forgive yourself. Oh, dude, I did this, I made the wrong decision, I should have went this, and then I would have been successful. You did it. Forgive yourself. So that's actually how you get rid of regret, is because it's really just forgiveness. It's just a personal experience, because you don't regret for someone. You don't regret for someone, right? It's really just you. And the only way to cure that is really to forgive yourself for the things you've done, because that's why you're not successful. That's why you don't have that girl. That's why you don't. It's like, dude, you need to forgive yourself, or you're never going to move forward. And that's what I think when you say, like, love yourself. It's like, love yourself enough to forgive yourself. Love your father enough and your people enough to forgive them. Because you can't, you know, and that's really what's great. It's like when you have a better understanding, like when people talk, when I think of like, parental childhood trauma, things like that, it's like, dude, I know you went through some shit. I wonder what your dad went through. You know, like, because we're all just puppies. Puppies don't learn to just shit outside. You have to train them to be who they are. They feel your energy. Now imagine a kid. So when you're saying all these things about puppies and how they are, how they become, people always say, like, oh, pit bulls are bad. I'm like, to me, it's more the parenting. Like, I don't know how the parents are with that pit bull, because I've seen ones with babies online. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it's really how you raise them and all that stuff. But people have to understand, your parents were puppies too. How were they treated? Because they don't just all of a sudden treat you like shit out of nowhere. No one holds a baby and says, I cannot wait to treat you like shit. Woo! This is gonna be great. Oh, man, I want to turn you into an alcoholic. Man, you're gonna do so much drugs. Like, no one does that. No one does that. So they were in a bad place themselves. They were just puppies themselves. They weren't trying. They didn't have this conversation we're having, you know? And so that's kind of like what's going on. So it's really tough for people that are going through things like that, you know? So, and it's just really just people have to have a better understanding of the situation. And again, when I say that to people, they're like, oh shit, like never thought about what my dad went through. Probably fucking worse. You know, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
all
I
of a
say
sudden
that a
the
lot.
perspective changes, right?
I say that a
Perspective
lot.
changes.
I don't get angry at a blacksmith's son for being a blacksmith is the statement that I make a lot. And then the other one is there's a difference between rumination and reminiscing. Like I can reminisce on my past and go, oh, that was a moment and it was good, and it disappears. Whereas if I'm ruminating, I'm like going through a deck of cards, and every one of the cards I'm like, oh, that moment, oh God, or pictures, right? I'm looking.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I don't have that anymore. And oh, I remember this. It was
All
so
the trees.
good.
You're bringing out all the trees.
Yeah,
All the
exactly.
trees. Yo, I ran into this one. I ran into this tree. And it's just
So
like, what does that have to do with your future?
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
that? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with who you want to become? And for people, again, like I like using like, you know, like stories or whatever. It's kind of like when you see someone that's a server, right? People don't really look like they have a future or something. Like, oh, they're just serving in a restaurant, blah blah blah, right? But once you learn, like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, serving. It's like, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm trying to be a nurse. Da da da. You don't look at them the same way, do you? They're a nurse, right? They're serving right now, but they're trying to be a nurse, right? Doesn't fucking matter where you are, where you've been, where you're trying to go. All of a sudden, people will see you different. You could been an asshole, but once you decide, like, you know what? Look at every movie. Every movie, the shift changes. All of a sudden, they want to be a better version of themselves, and that's why they become no longer the villain. They become the hero in the thing. You've seen in every movie they turn because their perspective shifted and said, "Shit, I don't think I like evil."
Like this anymore.
And only because they had trauma from the past. Like shit, you know, like that's why I became Darth Vader. Like damn.
The ultimate hero's journey, right? The ultimate, and we're all living our own version of that.
Right.
Find what your trauma is, fix it so that you can become the, you know, Luke Skywalker of your story or the whoever of your story. Because that's what we're here to do. And in essence, when you do become that character, you will be somebody that is helping others. That is just the way. Look, every single self-help coach from here back to beginning of time has always said, it is not about you. It's about everyone else. What are you doing for others? The more that you can do for others, the more that will come to you. Yeah. That river of acceptance, that river of, you know, and going back also to radical acceptance and radical forgiveness, to the point where you forgive even though you know the person will do it again. At that level of accepting of the forgiveness, and that's so hard to do. That's like
here's the thing about forgiveness.
That's level like 2000, like a mother who lost her child to a rape and murderer who's on TV, who looks at the camera and without a shadow of doubt in my mind, she's like, I totally forgive him because I know that God's not in his life and I wish God was with him. Like God's with my son right now and God is with my family. And it's like, that's like level, I don't know what that is. Like when somebody can do that, like you lost your child, yo. And you're on international, national television going.
Yeah, man.
This leads back to this other thing that I wanted to say, which is, you know, there's this a very cool story about the farmer and his son. I don't know if you've heard this. If you've heard it, I'll stop in the middle of it. It's fine. But basically, the son goes to the farmer, his dad. And he goes, Dad, you know, our horse, we only have one of them, so we don't have enough to do all the work that we need around the farm. You know, it's not a good day. It's not a good day. And Dad, it's not good. It's not bad. The next day, the horse runs away. And he goes to his dad. He's like, oh, my God, Dad, well, now we have nothing. what do we do, Dad? What do we do? And the guy, it's not good. It's not bad. The next day, 40 horses come down the hill with their horse leading. It's like, Dad, we're multimillionaires. Look at this. We got 40 horses. Oh, my God, it's crazy. It's not good. It's not bad, says the dad. The next day, the kid grabs one of the horses. He's trying to buck it into submission.
Yeah.
And he gets knocked off and he breaks his leg. And the villagers come by and they're going, oh, my God, look at this. You know, when you were rich a second ago, now you have this trauma. Oh, my God, your son's broken leg. This is horrible. Dad looks and goes, it's not good. It's not bad. The next day, the army comes into town and said that every able-bodied son must go to war. And the son doesn't get to go because he broke his leg the day before. And you know, you have some of the people in the city that are like, you know, I can't believe you have all this luck in your life.
Right.
Where your son's going to be the only one who survives out of all of us.
Right.
And the other people are like, whoa, what a crazy adventure you've just been on.
Yeah.
Of these ups and downs and this thing and this stuff. Yeah, now you get to keep your son. He's like, it's not good. It's not bad, bro. Any way you look at it, no matter which way you go down this story, my friends.
Right.
It's not good. It's not bad. I don't know what's going to happen with my son by not going to war. Right. I don't know what happens, you know, when this happens or that happens. So it's not good or bad. It's just what is. And
and that's where we go back to what I said before. No one knows the right choice. It's how you deal with the consequences of it. And then that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, talking about forgiveness earlier, it's like, please try to forgive, because who the hell do you think it's hurting? You think it's hurting the other guy because you won't forgive him? Really? He doesn't even know you haven't forgiven him. He has no fucking clue. He's just living, and the person that's going to do it again, they don't care that you haven't forgiven them. They really don't care. So what's your alternative? Not forgive them or forgive them. Which one should you take? Because you're only hurting, guess who?
Yes.
You. It's the only one. That's it. And that's why it's so rough when you won't even forgive yourself for, you know, a lot of times it's like they blame themselves for things that happened in the past. You know, and it's just like, dude, like, you got to stop that. Like, you got to let it go. So when people are talking to me about like pain, trauma, PTSD and stuff like that, it's like, well, what are you thinking about? Well, of course, someone's going to, there was this one guy I was talking to, he was talking about anxiety, and I was talking to him about like, you got to make the decision, and all that stuff. There, you know, different philosophies. And he was like, I take anxiety pills, you know, what do I do? And I go like, well, what makes you anxious? When I'm driving. Bro, millions of people drive. What makes you anxious? Well, it's just that every time I go in the car, it makes me I feel like I'm going to get into an accident, hurt myself or hurt other people. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Let me get this fucking straight. Every time you get in a car, your perspective is that you're probably going to hurt someone or yourself. That will cause anyone to be anxious. That's why you have anxiety. He goes,
of course.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, you can take all the pills you want, but if your thing, basically all you're doing with the pills is numbing your emotion. That's all it's doing. But it's temporary, isn't it? But do you still think you're going to hurt someone and hurt yourself? Well, if that's still there, guess how many pills you're going to need? Infinite.
You're right. I do a thing called riding in trauma, unfortunately. I was in a very traumatic accident when I was like 20. So when I ride now, I call it that. I don't know that that's what it is, but I call it that. As I'm driving on my motorcycle, and I use my motorcycle as a daily driver, I'm hyper aware of everything that's going on around me. I mean, head on a swivel like you've never seen. Like, I'm like, you know, like, and it's not necessarily out of fear, like, oh, I'm going to die. Oh, I'm going to die. Oh, my God. It's not that. It's more a cautionary, you know, I'm on a motorcycle with a dog on my chest, you know, as I'm riding around in the streets of New Orleans where the people here don't drive very well.
Right.
You know, this and Miami are about the same.
Right.
So in that respect, yeah, I call that riding in trauma because while I'm riding, those thoughts pop through my head.
Of course.
Now, on some level, I like that those thoughts pop in my head. I like the fact that I am even thinking about hey, you know, slow down
You
so that you're more than
should be.
this distance away from that. And
Right.
this is happening over here. Move over to this lane. And I
Yeah.
love that I'm
Right.
there, right? And I'm
Right.
in the moment, if you will.
Yeah.
But I don't like that I have those thoughts of
Of course.
tr-
So
like future trauma could be.
right, it's a future thing that
Because I go
might
through
not
the
even
entire
happen.
accident. I go through the entire accident when I think
Exactly.
about it. Even if it's just for a split second as I'm driving by and I see a piece of metal on the road and I go through like, what was that movie from the 90s where the truck has all the metal things? It went Final Destination.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
go through like Final
yeah.
Destination type scenes in my head
Right.
while I'm on the road on a
Yep.
motorcycle.
Of course. I
You
do the
know,
same thing on a bike. You got to be very, very careful. And the ones that are getting into accidents are the ones that doesn't have that thought process. But people have to understand that, like, like it's really what causes that anxiety, like you said, is because you're seeing a future version that might not even happen. That's where fear comes from. And that's also where happiness comes from. When you see a future version of yourself that's why you're happy. Has nothing to do with your present tense. It's like, if you know that's where you're going to be, it's like all of a sudden you're happy. That's why progress is so meaningful and it's so helpful for you, because like your mindset is completely different. It releases this thing like, oh, you made progress towards what you're trying to be, or what, the future version. And the thing is, when people talk about the future version, you got to remember that's also infinite. The future version today that he sees is 365. Guess what my boy's future version is going to be at 365? It ain't he's not stopping there.
not stopping
He's
at
not stopping
365, right?
there.
Right.
Now he's going to go like, what's my 720 whatever version? Like, and then the next, and then the next. So it's always constantly moving forward who you're trying to be, because without that, you're not getting guided to a specific destination of where you're trying to go and what you're trying to be and all that
Right.
stuff. So, and that's what really happens. It's like when you don't have, and it's great because when you talk about things, I like that you're expressing yourself, because it's easier for me to kind of let people relate to it and go like, look. Do you see what's happening? It's happening in real time right now. With William over here, like it's happening in real time.
Yeah.
So, you really have to look into that and really figure out like what's making you go that way.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
and that's part of the process, right? I mean, I love where we're going with this conversation and what we've talked about today, because it's really a crux again about everything that I have been going through. This conversation, like I said, with a friend of mine that said you have a bad relationship with yourself. When you hear that, you don't want to hear something like that. Like,
yeah.
I don't like myself in some way. Like I've hurt myself. I'm the reason for my failures in life. I'm the reason for this, that, and the other.
Accountability.
Nobody wants that finger pointed at them,
Accountability, like I mentioned.
Accountability, right? And I've also forced myself to not want a home and a house and a car and the kids and the house and the wife, and yet at the same time, as I look back and I look at myself now, I go, oh, maybe I do want those things, and maybe my mindset was one that was immature and unknowing of the world around me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I was young and I was immature, so be it. And again, the relationship and all the things that happened that were quote unquote negative were learning lessons that, and one of them is I have a dog now, and he's a PSD dog, a psychiatric service dog. That I did that only so I could fly with him, but in some weird way, he's exactly that for me.
Mm-hmm.
He's given me accountability. He's given me responsibility over a being that I've never had before.
Yeah,
maybe I did have that responsibility called myself, but I didn't recognize it in myself, right? And I only recognized it when I had something smaller and weaker that needed my help every day.
Mm-hmm.
That then gave me the responsibility to go, oh man, I got to come up with money every day, and I got to come up with a place to live every day.
Yeah.
That's not on the street or not in a tent, so that this thing can take a shower once a week or be loved or whatever. Yeah. And so that gave something. And then the
the fact that somebody came up to me at this event where I was doing these mushrooms and said, "Oh, I know you," and I didn't know anybody at this event, but lo and behold, I had spoken to her 5 years prior, and she'd been watching my videos ever since, and was upset with me for not doing the videos anymore. And something came across very deeply where it was like, hey, when you were doing that, you really liked what you were doing. It gave you a challenge. It gave you something. It fed into this being that you enjoy being. And to take that to that next level, like you were saying, is I already, as we're having conversations, have a feeling that, like, of being on like a nationally broadcast weird CBS trying to do long form content on national television of some sort, like or even a broadcast version of their channel where you get to choose that thing. And I already have the feeling that I'm ready to go there, and it's just a matter of time. If I just keep doing this and I keep having a different guest on every day, I can see it potentially, if not exponentially, growing to the point where it is a thing that people want to see daily. They want to see a podcast that is this kind of thing that we're talking about, and every day it's something new, and every day it's someone different, and every day it's not necessarily a famous person. It's not necessarily this. It's a story, almost like the guy who does the 60-second videos, where it's just 1 minute, and he talks about one thing in 1 minute, and they're really good videos. They're well produced, like that, but long form with one person, where I get to like deep dive into their heart and get to know them, you know. And I feel that there's something very real and ethereal at the same time about that, where it's very we're having a problem, and there's I don't know how to get you online, and you got to go back to your phone, and all of those issues. And I don't know, there's something that makes it cool, you know. Well, granted, if I had more production and I had a team and I had this and I had the other, you know, we'd have a set of questions and a thing, and it would all be done ahead of.
And then that's the thing, you know, how are you going to get those? You know, this is the first step. Again, imposter syndrome style. People are like, well, I don't have the lights. I don't have the thing. It's like, well, how are you going to get those? Like, you have to do what you're doing now. And so, but for you to do what you're doing now, you have to have this future version of yourself that's going to be on national broadcast. Well, how do you get there? Now you're taking the steps in the present, but you're learning from the past of what you fucked up on, what you should do, what platform you should use, Again, you're now becoming a startup. And that's why I always say, or relate to startup being implemented in your own life. You know, treat yourself like a startup. What startups founders do, they don't fucking know if they're going to succeed. They have no clue, and 95% fail. So, but we have this vision with Metacom space of what we're going to do in the metaverse. We have this version that I'm thinking that's going to succeed. Is it? I don't fucking know. But these are my philosophies. What's my mission? To help people connect, make more meaningful connections and shared experiences. So that's my mission. When does that end? I got to do everything I can to have make people connect more meaningfully in the metaverse, online, in any way, shape, or form, whether offline, online. But that's my goal with Metacom space. And so unless you have that future version, like I keep repeating, just because I want to ingrain it into people's head, that unless you have that future version of yourself that you really see, nothing's going to change, because everything just follows. And more importantly, you have to make that decision. Once you make that decision, everything follows. So going back to my clothing line, you know, fuck it, when you look at this, it reminds me to say fuck it more, right? Because the only time we say that phrase is only until after we've already made a decision. It's the only time. Everything you see, just do it. People have said, like, oh, it's like Nike, just do it. Like, no, just do it. I'm suggesting it. Yo, dude, just do it. I could tell you to start your podcast. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it a million times. And I still don't know if you're going to do it. But it takes one time, not twice, not for you to go, you know what, fuck it. Boom, you're welcome. I know now you're going to definitely do it, because the reason we say it is a confirmation to ourselves. You don't say fuck it for someone. You say it to yourself to confirm that you're actually going to follow through and commit to the decision you just made. No one plays poker and says, fuck it, I'm all in, and then go like, you know
Right.
what, maybe just half. You know,
Right.
like no one jumps out of the plane and skydives and says, fuck it, I'm going, and then hold on. Like, it just,
Right. Exactly.
and so that's really what makes that important. That's why we're trying to get people to make more decisions to really go to that next level, because you're never going to achieve, because then everything just follows. Once you make that decision, everything follows. Like what he's doing here. He has no clue what podcast is. All of a sudden, you know what? Let me get a more quality mic. You know what? Let me get a background. You know what? Let me get this editing software. You know what? Let me get this guest. Everything comes into play because of what future he wants. For him to attain that future, well, what does he have to do today? And please learn from your fucking past. You know, and that's why I say it's harmonious. The whole thing kind of comes together. And when he just focuses on what the value he's providing for other people, not like, when I do these podcasts, I'm going to be successful. Well, you're going to fucking fail.
Right.
Because you're going to feel like shit when you don't make it.
Right.
You're going to feel like shit.
Right.
Because you made yourself a goal that's it might be unattainable because, again, you have a lot of competition, right?
Right.
So,
And right now, luckily, my goal is just to get one person a day. That's it. I don't care about anything else. And more so than that, the other goal is to walk in blindly to the conversation. There's something I really, really, really enjoy about not knowing very much. Like all I did was read your bio, right? And I literally kind of went off your bio to do the intro. And then from there was just this organic conversation that happened. And like, it was like, hey, you met Christian. How do you know him? It started this, and then metaverse led to this. And what does it really lead to? But this awesome thing that is like, you can be anything and you can do anything. You just have to choose to do it. And there is no perfection to what you're about to do. There is no grandiose moment of I've achieved the dream. It should never be that. It should be, this inspires me. I want to do the thing that inspires me for others, and this is my version of that inspiration. And that's it. And that's it.
Yeah. You got to focus on the value you're providing. That's the main thing. You have to focus on the value and the benefit. Why are people benefiting? You know, one person, two people, whatever it is. The purpose doesn't care about your fucking identity. I don't care if you're ever homeless. I don't care if you're a bad person. I don't care. Who are you trying to be? Oh, you want to be that good person now. Now you want to provide value to others. And that's what happens. Like all of a sudden you don't care about what's happening to you. You don't care about if you're going to be a millionaire or this. If you really just focus on your purpose. But if you're so consumed about me, and what you're going to be, and that's all you're focused on, not your purpose, you know, you're going to have a really hard time. Same thing with any company. That's why a mission is very important for companies. Look at Airbnb. Their mission is to help people belong, not to be the best retail marketplace for rentals, because, okay, they're the best now. Now what?
Yep.
Stop. And so companies die when they don't have a mission. Look at every NFT project when they don't have a mission. Gone. They're done.
I saw an article yesterday that says that 95% of all NFTs are now devalued by
that in the first place. I'm like, there was zero value. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what's the benefit?
Well, I mean, art in general has no intrinsic value, right? We only put value upon the art that we believe is worthy because of either time or whatever. So, you know, and I went through that whole series of things yesterday with Larissa about talking about like the Leonardo da Vinci painting that was found with him holding a sphere, and how it was bought for like $500 at an auction. In some house, like some, you know, person passed away and had it in their, you know, and they were like, maybe, and they took it to New York, and some guy was like, wait a second, and they started doing all these tests and all these, you know, visual things, and they were like, oh my God, wait, and then they sent it to somebody else, and before you know it, they sold it for $68 million, $86 million, or whatever it was. So intrinsically, it was only given value based on the amount of people who agreed that it was worth something.
Yeah.
And that's the same as much of like the fiat currencies that we deal with in this world. You know, it's only worth what we say it's worth because we say it's worth something. And
and that's why I don't like that they attach collectibles with NFTs.
Yeah.
People have a bad preconceived notion of what NFTs are. And the way I explain NFTs, it's really more about access, not ownership. People keep saying ownership. Like, no, it's not. Prove to me that you own a car. You're going to show something with your fucking name on it,
Yep.
right? You don't
Yeah.
just give me your keys. Look, I own that car. I have the keys. Like, that doesn't mean you own it just
Right.
because you have the keys.
Right.
So ownership really is only going to come when there's some kind of identity attached to it. So to me, NFTs are just really access, keys, passes. What does it give access to? A JPEG? Or is it a membership? Or is it a concert? I don't know, but that's what an NFT is. It's just a technology that allows you to gain access to, I don't know what specific thing that you want to give access to. So it's a key, but what are you going to lock with that? And what are you going to give people access to? For example, in our metaverse, you can have your own NFT community, but what's utility can you provide? Well, welcome to Metacom space, because only your crew can get in for free, but everyone else that's public will have to pay to get into the music concert in the metaverse. Or there's a VIP room that you can talk to the guest rooms if you have this specific NFT with these traits, for example. So now you're providing some kind of value with this thing, this exclusivity with doing the things with your NFTs. And so by having this like Metacom space, to me, what I envision, it's so exclusive, but at the same time, we have to talk about how to include everyone else. You know, so I know it's exclusive to your members, your community, but you know, but just your community alone is not enough. Like, they want to represent yourselves, but to represent yourself to your community is almost like, well, yeah, dude, I'm in it.
Like you were saying earlier, standing on a stage and being one person talking, everybody else going, oh, right, just listening to you.
Yeah, it's just like, well, it's like when your community, like, it's like bragging about your community to your community. Who cares? Dude, I'm in it. Like, I'm in it. Why are you selling me on something I'm already bought? Like, it's when you brag to other people that's not in it. Oh, dude, fucking, that's why BAYC was so big, because like, oh, celebrities are in it. Oh, you're not? I am. You know, so there's that bragging thing. With the other NFTs, it's really that, right? It's got that exclusive element. But when you can't include people to be able to experience what you are, like, look at the collectibles for apparel in the virtual world. Who gives a shit that you have those sneakers if no one can see it? Oh,
right.
You have a picture of it. Awesome. Good for you. But only until you're in Metacom space wearing those sneakers, representing it to the people that attend the events, like, yo, sick sneakers. That's when it becomes relevant. But right now, it's just like, okay, you have digital shoes.
Right.
Good for you.
Which is why I came up with an idea with a friend of mine called Swag Pass, which was exactly what you're talking about. It was swag for different events, and then you could pick up the NFT, pick up the T-shirt, pick up the shirt, pick up the hat, pick up the whatever, and yeah, make it for you know, any kind of avatar. You get to wear it, you get to change it to any verse that you wear, and then that way you can wear the clothing. But then in real world, you can also have the clothing and show up to NFT events wearing that clothing as well. Which I think
what made that
cool.
difficult is the reselling, because how do you resell the physical item as well?
No, you don't. You resell the NFT, and then when that person has the NFT, they can go with their wallet to the website and say, hey, I'm the owner of this NFT now, and you get to buy that physical representation of the shirt with that number on it.
Right. But then it becomes where someone that doesn't have the NFT now also has this shirt.
Yeah, but it's no longer. Sure. Yeah.
Like, it's the affiliation with it, and that's what makes it give it value, and that's why people are making like chips that would go into something to ensure that this is
a company that's out there that's called Gummy. They're out of South Africa, and they have a sticker-based NFT with a proprietary visual laser dot surface. I don't know, something that they created.
Yeah.
And they've already done 30 million packages of drugs in Africa and South Africa, where many of the drugs, I think it's India as well, maybe, where they do they copy a lot of the drugs and then sell the bad drugs on the open market. And so for people to be able to prove that their drugs are real, the gummy pack, like the medicine, will have on the outside where the cover is a gummy that you first check, oh, that's the NFT. And when you open it, as you go into the medicine, it has another one, and you can click that. It matches. Okay, these are the drugs that I'm supposed to be taking. They're not fake. And so for that use case, I find it amazing. But they can also take just a regular gummy and put it onto any object. So I can take it, put it on the bottom of the cup, take a picture of the gummy on their app, and then take a couple pictures of my my cup, and then all of a sudden that cup with that gummy represent that NFT. Right. When that NFT gets sold, so does the cup.
Yeah. And that's like so that, you know, the NFTs are great for authentication and things like that. But I guess my point with the other one is like what makes it difficult is the reselling part. Because it's hard to keep, you know, like,
I think that
it's usually
I understand your idea of saying somebody else has the shirt, which is cool and all, but you can also say, you know, the person who does have the shirt, I got it at a resale shop. I got it wherever. It doesn't really matter. The guy threw away the shirt.
Right. It still works because then only people with NFT can buy it.
Right. That would be the same thing as I just copied and pasted the picture and put it on my computer, but I don't own that thing anymore. Like I can't go and use that T-shirt to walk into the event. I still need to pull out my phone. I still need to show my MetaMask wallet and get it scanned to prove I'm the owner, not the guy who has the shirt that bought it at the thrift shop.
Yeah.
So the shirt really isn't anything else other than your own, call it WWE, you know, medal that you get to wear. That some guy's going to win off of you next week when he beats you.
Right.
So and that's okay, right? Because maybe that's within the metadata. Right. Hey, this has been owned by 5 different people. This person upped it by 10% by doing this, this, and this. This person did this by doing this, this, and this. And when you buy this NFT now, it has access to these 4 other locations, which makes this NFT more valuable.
And that's just the hard part with the you know, the phygital. It becomes unsustainable when you buy the NFT that comes with a shirt that comes. The only way you can make that sustainable is the NFT can give you access to buy that shirt, but not that it comes with a shirt. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, and that's
when people try to attach it, and I'm just like, that's not going to work. And that's because you don't have enough money to keep getting people new shirts, just because, especially when these marketplaces are getting rid of royalties, where you're gonna go out of business quick because now you're buying a new shirt for someone else. You have to figure out the size, you now have to figure out, and you're only gonna make this percentage, and it's not gonna work. And some of them, you don't even get a percentage. So again, I go back to the access. What does it get access to? It gives you access to buy the shirt. It gives you access to buy the gummy. It gives you access to do this. Like the authentication is definitely one aspect of it, a use, you know, like, because now it authenticates that that's actually the real deal. It's not duplicatable, all that stuff. So that is one aspect. So I guess it's access and authentication as well. But mostly that. But when it starts talking about ownership and you know, collectibles, it's where people get a bad idea of like, you're giving this bad impression of what an NFT is. It's just a technology. You know, it's not, you're not buying an NFT, you're buying what's behind the NFT. You don't give a fuck about the NFT. Like, it's just numbers and letters. That's what an NFT is. But it gives you JPEG. Now, I don't care about the JPEG either, but what is behind the JPEG? Right. Oh, I'm in a membership. Oh, I get exclusive this. That's what you're buying. You're not buying an NFT. That's like me saying, like, I'm buying paper. No, like, what does it say on it? No, it says I own a car. You know,
right? You're not right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize it's just a contract.
Yeah,
you're buying a contract. I mean, that is literally what it is. I'm buying something. You're selling it to me. This is the information behind what I've done. Just like you're saying, when I buy a car, I'm given the keys. But if I show people the keys, that doesn't mean you own it. That just means you stole somebody's keys.
Right. Just because of my driveway doesn't mean I own it.
Right, you got to show me
that's why I don't think it's
title and registration, buddy, and it has to have your name on it. Otherwise, I don't believe you.
And that's what I love about the metaverse thing that we're doing, is because I think it's going to onboard the mainstream people to the technology of Web3, because we don't ever have to mention NFTs. I don't have to tell you that tickets are NFTs. I don't have to tell you that the membership with this JPEG gives you access to these specific things. If I just say like, yo, if you're part of the William freaking whatever NFT community, you get in for free, or you get the VIP access to talk to the speakers that he brings on the freaking podcast. That's now becomes that kind of value. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's going to bring on board more people. And what I love that we're doing is it actually helps people, anyone, to host events, not just me. We help you kind of monetize your own events. You can start small. For example, for you, let's say you're starting small, like, all right, just get a small podcast studio. And then as you get your audience bigger, get the auditorium. As that get better, then start doing a convention center with 25 speakers in there, and you have exhibitors, and you're monetizing it through exhibitors and sponsorships. You know, not many places, you know, you're doing this for free, providing this content, but you're not monetizing it. There's people that would love to start off with fucking like hey, it's $5 to sponsor, but you get 20 of them. All right, it's $100. Great. It's harder to do it in this form. That's why, you know, streaming is good. You can put logos on your screen, things like that. So that's monetizable. But it's very difficult. But the best thing, and this is something I learned in another startup that I was doing, was you need to be transparent. You need to show what your prices are. You need to be upfront about it. It's so much better. And stop being like, oh, I need this many people, this many audiences so I can get a sponsor. People will pay for $1, dude. People pay for $1. Like, well, why are you talking about like Samsung and what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Once
you're not
again,
there yet.
ideal and idea.
Yeah. So
And
imagine.
Larissa was telling me about that yesterday. She was like, you know, she's like, I love what you're doing already. And I think that you have a great following already. She's like, look, you already have like, you know, 300, 400 views on each one of your videos, and you just started. Like, that's huge, Paul. And I'm like, really? And she's like, bro, you have no idea. There's people who are out there who are very well known. She goes, have you heard of this thing called the Force 5 something? The all of the biggest nighttime, late night television guys are all doing a podcast together. And if you go to their podcast, they're getting 2,000 views on a podcast. And this is the 5 biggest names in television, night television, and they're getting nothing. And she's like, you have to think that they have massive powerhouse machines behind them. And they are promoting this thing, that they're doing this thing, and everybody's talked about it. It's in the news, you know, and they're getting no views.
Yeah.
And you're getting 1/4 of their views, and you have nothing behind you.
Yeah.
She goes, you don't think somebody would sponsor you already?
Right.
She goes, I know for a fact I could probably find you 5 different sponsors in just New Orleans alone that are businesses that would love to have you do a 30-second commercial at the beginning of each one of your podcasts, and you do 5 of those, and each one of them pay you $25 a day for that. Like, they would totally do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, really?
Right.
She's like, yeah, because that's nothing to them.
Right.
Like, as far as an advertising budget, what are you asking for? What? Like what's $25 times 30? Right. You know, what are you asking for? $700 a month.
Right.
You know,
that's where I was doing with the other startup that I had, was about influencer marketing, and that's how I learned so much about this stuff. And influencers are really doing a lot of things wrong. First of all, it's super inflated. Prices are all off, and that's because there's lack of transparency. You don't know what you're paying this person or this person. You know, there's really no, the value is incorrect, what they're providing, you know, and the value shouldn't be changing. I don't go to a restaurant and just because I have a bigger budget, pay higher for a steak. You know, like, the value is the value. Like, you don't all of a sudden, it better be consistent throughout. You know, it should be the same price for everyone. But that's not what's happening. And it's because they're taking advantage. Every influencer is just trying to milk as much money as they can from everyone else. And that's what I was kind of trying to fix, is provide more transparency. Because when you compare prices with people with the same engagement, same exposure and all that stuff, and they're freaking $10,000 cheaper, it's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go with this one. Like, you're trying to scam me. So they don't feel like they're scamming anyway, because it's invisible. They can't tell. So there's a lot of things that I was trying to implement with that. So actually, I'm still kind of working on that now with a developer, just because I can't help it. I love solving problems. So, but people like yourself, it would help you monetize your podcast easily because you can put on there, the exposure, your prices are there, and it's easy when you have a marketplace because there's three things that you really want to do. First is just transparency part. You need to let people know everything about you, who your past history was, this, that, who you've talked to, all that stuff. So I know as a brand, a sponsor, I know what I'm dealing with. Number two is credibility. How the hell do I know you're you? Well, one of the best things to provide credibility is ratings. When you can get a rating every time you promote someone, obviously that makes it easier. If you're a 5-star with just 5 sponsors, you think it's going to be hard to get the 6th? How easy is it going to get the 100th when you have 99 and you have 5 stars? Like, of course it's going to be easier. The thing is, you have to think about how to build your credibility. Start with a fucking $1 and get 5 stars. Then go $5, get 5 stars. Get $10, $100. Not let's wait until oh, now I'm going to charge you $1,000 because I'm finally there, but no one freaking knows how you even work. So that's a better progression. And for any influencer, especially in a hyper-local level. And the last thing is really accountability. How do I know you're going to promote me? How do I know you're going to do it right? So accountability, the ratings help because I can give you a 1-star. And once they start seeing your your rating going down, people are not going to work with you automatically.
Sure.
Same way we do Airbnb. Like if you can't see the picture, if you can't see any transparency about what it is, and the credit rate and the rating is, 1 star, like I'm pretty sure you're not going to do it. But the most importantly is the payment system. Because if you're going to run away with my money, that's probably the biggest fear of anyone that's going through influencers and not getting any kind of results. But that's kind of hard to determine. But when you don't have that, there's no trust. But if I can say like, well, if they don't do it, you can get your refund. Well, the sponsors now trust you even more. So now you're getting more sponsors. It's better to get a sponsor every day than it is to try and get $1,000 once a month.
Once a month.
Right. So that's something that I'm trying to change by providing all these services, by being transparent, giving you some sort of credibility and giving you the accountability that I can protect them and I can protect you because I have the money already. So a lot of sponsors don't end up paying, they overpaid out here, whatever, the business going down. Like, dude, I already have the money. As long as you don't fuck it up, you get the money. There has to be some kind of dispute. So that's where marketplaces, and that's why when people talk about decentralization and this, like, there's still a point where you're going to need marketplaces to control the accountability aspect. Because if it's direct and you pay someone through Web3 and someone gets the payment, how do you get it back? Good luck, buddy.
Right, you don't.
Good luck.
Yeah.
There has to be a middleman, right? And people are like, no, we get rid of the middleman. Okay, try and do a Web3 Airbnb then. Pay him directly. Good luck getting your money back when it's not the right place.
Right.
So I don't think it's ever going to go away. Just like what we do now when we go to malls, it lets you know that these are legit stores. They're actually a real business and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's what it does. So NFTs again, it's just a new technology. It adds more authenticity. It adds more safety to a certain point. But I don't think just doing everything direct is ever going to work. And identity is going to be the biggest thing. People think about like anonymity, like, anonymity doesn't build trust, man. I'm just telling you, if you really want Web3 to work, it's because it's not anonymous. Because why would you deal with someone that you can't see or talk to? Like, I get it happens, but is there more trust when you can see him and you know the person? The problem is like how much of your identity can you provide all the time? So only when it's necessary should we be able to provide identity. That's when Web3 really becomes fucking awesome. Just like the real world. You're trying to buy a car. You don't tell them everything you are. Here's my license, this, that. When it's time for the transaction to happen, that's when you release everything, this, that, someone buying something. That's when you release who you are, birthday, social security, this, that. But until then, it's like, dude, it's like no one knows who the fuck you are. So it's not going to work. Trust is all about, the whole thing is all about trust. So, the thing is with this, it's trustless, right? You don't have to trust them. It's supposed to be through. But I think that level of trust is what's going to be important in Web3. And I think that's how everything goes online. And I always think, again, I always bring the real world to our metaverse. That's what I think of. Well, how's it going to work here? Like, well, we have to bring what we see in the real world, because that's been proven for centuries of how it works, how people connect, how humans work. we just have to bring that. But people are going way fast forward. Oh, this is immersive and you can do this in AR. No one gives a fuck. Are you solving a problem? Then if not, like, yeah, you can go in the metaverse and shop in this. Am I gonna waste hours as if I'm going fucking to the retail store in my neighborhood again? Or can I just fucking scroll through on my website and go click, 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 I want this, done. Like, I'm just saying, you better be solving a problem, because if you're just doing it for the sake of, oh, it's gonna be cool, no, it has to be, it'll help, you know? Because unless you're, solving something, like, for example, I don't talk about how awesome our metaverse is going to be, even though the quality is awesome. But really, I talk about the solution that we're providing for people that want to cater to communities and bring a community and want to monetize an event. Like, you can start your own concert if you know a lot of bands or whatever, put together a concert in the metaverse, sell tickets so people can meet the thing and have the communities talk amongst themselves, have exhibitors in your event. So now it becomes monetizable. You can be the speaker at one of them. You could be and get other speakers involved. You can get sponsors involved. You can, and now the sponsors are not just like this one-time post and then look, there'll be $1,000. Like, no, they're going to be an exhibitor with a sales rep inside the booth talking to people. That becomes more relevant to the sponsors, because now they're at an event for an hour, not a one-time boop. They see that freaking sign the whole day during the event. That's why people pay thousands of dollars in the real world. They're not there, but they know that it's being seen the whole freaking time.
Right, the whole time. Right. Of course.
Influencer marketing, it just passes by 1 second. It's gone already.
Yep.
It's gone.
Yep.
So I think things are going to change.
Why I wanted to do that whole commercial thing at the beginning of each one of the videos, because these videos aren't going anywhere. They're staying, and anytime somebody looks up any one of the videos, that company's name will be in the tagline of sponsored by, and so every video will start popping up on the internet when somebody searches their name, and they'll click on the video and it'll go to the podcast and it'll say in the first 5 seconds of the podcast, hey, this is sponsored by blah blah blah.
Well, it all starts with a decision, buddy.
Yeah, 100%.
No, you just have to put the logo in the beginning.
Yep, that's it, right? Exactly. That's it.
It's waiting on you, buddy.
100%.
Right? And that's why, hey,
working on that deal right now.
Look into StreamYard.
Yeah, and I'm working on that deal right now with a friend of mine who has a studio down the street.
Oh, nice.
And we're talking about possibly filming these in bulk. So, like, doing these, like, 2, 3, 4 of these in a day, which is insane to me, but yeah. And so and then pushing them out, so bulk filming, which I don't know. I'm still very on the edge about it, but I wouldn't mind having bulk so that when I don't have a guest, I can just go, oh, bulk. Boop.
It's gonna be tough as far as editing goes. Well, I guess you just go in live though.
You just go in live, film it, and just let it happen, just like this is.
That's
That's
doable.
and just let it be.
It's just more about your voice, really.
I think that, and I think it's also being interested in the person. Like, I'm very interested in finding out more throughout the conversation. I mean, we've gone, I don't know, almost 3 hours now. Yeah, we've been in here for a minute, bro. Yeah. But and let's if you don't mind, we'll kind of wrap up now. And if you could, Ricardo, tell people where they can catch you, where they can meet you, where they can see content from you. We'll fill all that in, and then I'll cut you out, and I'll end the show, and then I'll repurpose this and post this on YouTube for everybody to watch who's not watching it now. But before I do that, first let me say thank you so much for having been on the show today and being with me. It was an absolute pleasure. There were lots of comments that came in, and even private messages were like, yo, dude, this is amazing. This is a really good show you just put together. And I'm thankful that the universe is working with me on this goal-oriented thing that I'm doing, which is just this. I'd be happy with just this, and I am happy with just this. And so with that, please fill us in. How do we find you? Where do we go? Let us know more about you.
Yeah, we spoke about so many things, but I think I guess for contacting me as far as Instagram or anything goes social, it's R Zulu Junior. So that's how you can get me personal wise. But of all the other things that we've talked about, the metaverse, if you can sign up for early access. That's metacom.space. So you can read about what we're building there. And for our nonprofit foundation, go to startday1.org. That'll kind of give you an idea of what we're kind of trying to do there. And yeah, and all those you'll end up finding me anyway. So if you go to those two websites, you'll easily find me. I'm pretty public, I think.
Right, yeah, 100. Well, Ricardo, Jack, Zulueta, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate your time and energy. I really do, and I'm thankful for you. So thank you again, and we'll see you soon, no?
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
No worries, man. Thank you.
Later.
Oh my God. Again. These have not stopped getting just better and better and better along the way. I am, and I'm rushing sometimes, like literally like 20 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then just something just magically just goes, boop. And what an amazing conversation to have. And granted, it was all over the place, but wow, so good. So good. My friends, I'll end it like this. Please go out into the world and do something nice for somebody else. And if you can't do something nice for yourself, it does start with you. Number 2, don't get caught up in all the crazy stuff, because if you do, then you end up a little poopy. And number 3, if you would not mind, please, I beg of you, share, like, subscribe, send this out to somebody who needs to see it. And with that, my friends, I love you all. I thank you all. And I will see you all on the other side.